Hi guys, welcome to Full Time Devils. It's a Thursday night, it's the new Tuesday and Wednesday. It's Europa League football, United against Feyenoord, and we're going to be here through the game, the first 10 minutes before the game, throughout the game as well, and then after the game. We're going to talk about team news in a second, but I'm joined by the lovely Justin Mottershead, Manchester sports reporter. Jay, you've seen the team. What do you think? I'll just run everyone through it first. So we've got De Gea at the back, obviously. Darmian, Bailey, Smalling, and then Marcus Rojo at left back. Schneiderlin and Herrera, Mata, Pogba, Martial, and then the main man, Marcus Rashford. What are your first thoughts?
I think that's a strong team. It's an exciting team. It's great to see Marcus Rashford starting, great to see Martial starting. Couple of players there as well who'll have a point to prove. I don't think Rashford's got a point to prove. He's already proven it. I think the same for Martial and even Mata and Pogba, obviously. But players like Schneiderlin, like Rojo, something to prove, maybe show that they're more than just squad players. Maybe even Smalling, because it's not set in stone that he's going to partner Bay for the rest of the season. Blin, I know he didn't have the greatest derby, but they've looked quite a strong partnership. So it's a good, strong team, and I expect us to get a result with it.
Do you think we've got a stronger squad now? You know, we've got a much better. I mean, I at least do. I think we've got a far better squad now. I think we've always had players in there that can do a job, but I think we've now got that extra level of quality. It means when we go into games like this, you know, we've actually got a much stronger squad. You know, you look at that side now, and I would say that's probably stronger, and it's a second string side to some of the games we played in the Champions League under Louis van Gaal. You know, so. I mean, what do you make of that back two? Do you think Blint and Bailly have probably nailed that down in the Premier League for now? Or do you think if Smalling has a good game, then he could come back in?
Well, a few weeks ago, I sat in that very chair and said I thought that Bailly and Blint would be the centre-back partnership. Now, the derby's sort of thrown a little bit of a spanner in the works because people started questioning it. People started looking at Blint, thinking, is he the right man for the job alongside Bailly? Obviously, Smalling, we all know what he's capable of. My concern is Smalling switches off now and again, and I think that Bailly, I'd like to see him start. I think he needs someone who's a little bit more composed. But if Smalling and Bailly looks good tonight, then it's all up in the air because it's definitely not set in stone. And I think that Chris Smalling is a top-class defender. He's obviously going to want to start every game. If he has a good game tonight, he probably will be, and I think Blint might be a little bit worried.
What do you think of the Europa League, actually? You know, I mean, there's been a lot of talk of the fact it's not the Champions League. We know it's not the Champions League. That's a given, but we're in it. You know, you can't. I don't think many sportsmen would approach a tournament not wanting to win it. But how do you approach it? How would you approach it? If you were Jose Mourinho now, what would you think? What would you do?
I was a little bit underwhelmed by Mourinho's comments. He sort of made it out like, this is an important competition because we're in it, but it's not that important to a club like Manchester United.
Does that not echo what we think, though, a little bit?
I suppose a little bit, but I think, as you mentioned earlier, we've got the squad now, the depth in the squad, to make this a useful competition in terms of rotating players. And I think when you bring in the likes of Rashford, who doesn't start, the likes of Schneiderlin, the likes of Smalling, who doesn't start, you've got a strong spine there. You've got a really good side. So there's no reason why you can't go out and win this competition. You know, I cast my mind back to sort of the 2009 sort of season, where I think we got to the Champions League final, won the league, won the Carling Cup, I think, or got to the semi-finals of the FA Cup. We're in the latter stages of everything. Yeah. With players like Anderson, Darren Gibson starting a lot of those games. So I look at the squad now and think, why can't we go all out for everything, including this competition? Because would any of us be complaining if we won the Europa League? I certainly wouldn't.
No, absolutely not. And I think, for me, the other thing is, I think you can't suddenly decide to have a great run in the Premier League, go into the Europa League, start playing, an average side. I mean, this is a strong side. Okay, there's been some rotation, but it's still a strong side. And I think if you start playing sides that aren't going to win games, I think you come out of those and there's a negative feeling. You know, and especially after the derby, this weekend, it was a poor result for us. And I think if we come to the Europa League feeling as though we're not really bothered about it, you come out the other end feeling exactly the same.
Definitely. You know? I think what you've got as well with this competition and what we've seen with that lineup, you've got players who are hungry to prove something. So even though you might have one or two players who play every week, and the Europa League, is the Europa League top of Paul Pogba's list of ambitions? Probably not. But someone like Marcus Rashford, who's not been getting many games, someone like Morgan Schneiderlin, who's not been getting many games, Marcus Rojo, who's not had any games recently, they're going to come in and they're going to have a point to prove. And then you've got other players like Juan Mata, who's in and out of the side. So I think everyone's got a point to prove. And the short and long of it comes down to when someone puts on a shirt for Manchester United, you expect them to give it their all. You expect them to perform to a certain level. And when I look at the Manchester United squad, I know it sounds a little bit like what Mourinho says, but I do think that he does have a squad of 23 who can come in and out of the set.
Yeah, I agree.
Where
completely.
in the past with United, you've had a really strong, maybe 14 players, and then under Sir Alex Ferguson, one thing he was very good at was getting the best out of fringe players who weren't that great. Now United have a really strong fringe squad, so I think there's potential for United to win this competition, and I think that anyone that comes out onto the field representing United will give it the role for different reasons.
Make sure you get your comments in the YouTube, guys, as well. We're going to talk through a few of those in a little bit. We'll answer maybe a few questions if you've got any questions as well. I mean, we're talking there about the Europa League as a whole, but this game in particular, do you think this is probably our bet? This is the away game we should really be going all out for, given that it's quite close to home. It's somewhere we've played before. It's not out in Ukraine or out in Turkey. And we've got some big games at home as well. I mean, I think the game against Fenerbahce is sandwiched between Liverpool and Chelsea away. So that's going to be a tough game. Does that make this one really important?
I think the derby makes this important for United. I think that bouncing back from that game, that performance, especially in the first half, there's a real sort of, I wouldn't say an overall negativity, but there is a little bit there around the club about the fact that, what happened at Old Trafford. And I think it's important to come back from that result. Now, let's say, right, the most important way to bounce back from that is in the league. But the game after a defeat like that, you want to get a positive result. And I think if United went to Feyenoord and got beat, then all of a sudden it goes from a poor result to a poor run. And that's not what you want. You want to get the fans sort of jubilant again. You want to get the players confident again. And okay, Feyenoord don't represent the greatest test, but go over away from home in Europe, get a result. You can start putting the derby to the back of your mind. Well,
let's talk just a little bit about the derby. We've got to talk about it before the game. We've only got a couple of minutes to the game, 2 or 3 minutes. It's looking quite full, actually, at Feyenoord, given the number of fans that are in there. That second half, do you think there was enough in that second half to be positive, not just going into this game, but going into the Premier League, at the weekend again against Watford?
I think there was in certain aspects. I thought Herrera was a massive positive.
Starts tonight, obviously, as well.
I thought that was one of the best 45 minutes I've seen him have in a red shirt. And I think there were signs there, but there were signs that we know what can happen. We know what Rashford can do. So when we see him bombing forward and causing problems, we know about that. But I think the thing about the second half was the first half was so bad. If we're completely honest, United's first 40 minutes performance wasn't great at all.
Yeah.
I think that it's sort of the second half was maybe overstated a little bit. I don't think United were that strong in the second half, and I think let's not forget City hit the post as well. City at times were happy to sit back. I think Guardiola made tactical changes to defend his lead rather than going out and attacking more, which in the first half they had done. They'd gone for it, City. Second half, sat back a little bit, and United couldn't quite unlock them. So there were positives, but I don't think we can overstate it. There weren't too many positives in that second half.
Okay, we're just going to quickly run through the team again, very briefly. Okay, just let you all know. So De Gea, Darmian, Bailey, Smalling, Rojo, Schneidlin, Herrera, Mata, Pogba, Martial and Rashford. Okay, the game is not far from kicking off, actually, as well. Looks like a good atmosphere, to be fair. What did you, by the way, what did you think of United telling the fans not to go out in United colours? Do you think that was ever going to happen?
No, and I think that was a little bit strange. It's not something I've seen happen very often before, but so I can't recall that happening before at all, to be honest with you. Yeah, a little bit odd. Probably not what you want to hear if you're travelling over to a European away game. I certainly wouldn't want to be told not to wear my colours because you're going to be under threat. But I don't think many fans will take notice of that.
No, it's going to be a good game, I think. I mean, we've just seen Sergio Romero actually on the screen there briefly, and I know that De Gea has started tonight. It's generally the one position that you're never going to rotate quite as much. Do you still think that he's a good enough backup keeper for the club? I mean, I think he is, actually, to be honest. I think it's very tough to ever get two unbelievably world-class keepers, one as backup, and just because of that lack of rotation. Do you think he's a good enough backup for us?
I think so, yeah, definitely. I think he is. I think the thing is, as you mentioned there, it's very difficult to get two world-class goalkeepers who are both happy, or one of whom is happy to sit on the bench. I think in the past when United have rotated keepers, going back quite a few years now, but Roy Carroll and Tim Howard, they rotated a little bit. None of them really set the stall out as being the number one, not for a little while anyway. I think now David De Gea, arguably the best goalkeeper on the planet. If there's few as good as him. Sergio Romero is a decent keeper, international goalkeeper. We've seen him come into the United side, make some important saves, have a couple of games, have a little bit of a shaky one. I think at Swansea away was when people...
Yeah, maybe
being a little bit harsh, but a few people did raise their eyebrows. But you look back at sort of Manchester United and when things have been going really well. You could say that in the past when they had like Edwin van der Sar and Thomas Kuszczak, was Thomas Kuszczak a good enough goalkeeper to be a number one at United? Probably not. Going back even further, to sort of Peter Schmeichel when I think it was Van der Hau. Yeah, he was a very good keeper. Was he a number one? I don't think he came in after Schmeichel left for a little while. But you're always going to have either two goalkeepers who are very good, or you're going to have a really world-class goalkeeper and another one who's very good. I think that's what United have got at the moment. I think Romero he does what he says on the tin. He's a good backup. I'm
just going to actually move a little bit further forward as well. Wayne Rooney's been a huge talking point. And I've been quite vocal about what I think about Wayne Rooney. And I think this is a really good opportunity. I mean, I do genuinely believe that he's been rested for this game. I don't think he's been dropped or anything like that. But I do think this is an opportunity to see what the side could be like without Wayne Rooney. And I would expect him to start against Watford. I can't see him being dropped for that game, regardless of how well we played tonight. But do you think, because I know I do personally, that this is a really good opportunity now for Rashford, Martial and Pogba in a much more advanced role to show Jose Mourinho now that, Rooney maybe isn't needed in that side as much as he might think he is?
Well, of all the players you mentioned there, I think maybe Pogba in an advanced role might have a bit more of a point to prove, because I think there's still a question mark over where Pogba's best position is. And I think for some people it's sat in front of the defence, bombing forward. For others he's more of a back to a sort of
box to box. Yeah.
Even. Midfielder, he seems to enjoy playing a bit further up the field. If he shines in that role, it might give Jose Mourinho pause for thought. I don't think Martial and Rashford have anything to prove. I think Mourinho knows what they can do, knows what they're capable of, and I think he just prefers Rooney in that role that Rooney's been playing. The question is, can Pogba give Mourinho something to think about, where he thinks, hang on a minute, I could play Pogba further up the pitch, maybe play Herrera and Fellaini, for example, in the centre of the park. So that might be the question for that Mourinho's going to be asked after this game. But I don't really see Rashford and Martial giving Rooney too much to worry about, because I think we all know, even if Rashford has a great game tonight, we all know.
Yeah, I think the thing in the derby that was, I think the problem, City are outstanding. I think we both probably agree with that. Is Pogba looked isolated, especially against alongside of Fellaini. I just think he looks isolated. And there's nothing wrong with. I actually thought Fellaini played okay at weekend. I don't think he was outstanding. I don't think anyone was outstanding really. But I'd just like to see Pogba in a more advanced role. And I'm just going to see if we can work out actually where he's played, because I think
it's been a headache for few managers. I think Deschamps for France struggled with him where to play in his best position.
Well, I thought again that game at weekend against City, I thought was very similar to the way that he was played for France at the Euros. Yeah. Just a little bit too deep. He's not got that licence to roam.
And then in the second half, when he did go forward, it didn't really change much. He didn't affect the game at all. So it is a bit of a headache, but it's one that Mourinho's probably thought of.
The thing is, though, when you've paid 90 million for a player, it's pretty hard to leave him out or not make him the forefront of the side. Not make him the pinnacle of that attacking three if he plays a three.
I think we have to remember as well, with City it was a bit of a different situation, because you had De Bruyne and Silva in the middle.
That is true.
Getting forward, with Fellaini almost on his own, trying to cope with them two, which, regardless of what you think of Marouane Fellaini, there's not any midfielder who can cope with them two on his own. So I think most sides you're going to come against for United aren't going to have two world-class central midfielders getting at you, so that would give Pogba more freedom to roam.
I'm just seeing Herrera closing the ball down then, actually, as well. I thought he was a really good addition on Saturday. I just thought he was. I think there's a bite about him. I remember saying last season, and I don't think he had the best time under Louis van Gaal. Do I think he's going to start every week? No, I don't. Would I start him every week? Probably not. But I think in games where you need a bit of bite, for someone who's quite small and wiry, I think he's got something about him. He can put himself about, and there was a few challenges against City at Old Trafford on Saturday that I thought he's a guy that will fight a cause for, and I think that's something Jose loves as well.
Definitely, and I think that I remember, I think it was Anfield away when Gerrard got sent off. He was getting stuck in then, Herrera, wasn't he? And he's one of those
he was.
He's like you say, in a big game, he does get stuck in, but he's good on the ball. And with someone like Fellaini gets stuck in, can be a little bit clumsy, can be accused of being a thug. Herrera doesn't seem to have that. He seems to be able to get stuck in, but doing it in a little bit of a cleaner way.
Yeah, but I think the baby face helps.
The baby face helps, the old Spanish charm. Yeah. A little bit, I didn't mean anything. Not me, governor. But I think Van Gaal, what surprised me is at the time when we needed a defensive midfielder, Van Gaal was willing to play like the likes of Wayne Rooney there, and he never thought to play Herrera there, which I thought
it was strange, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was strange.
You know, I'm not in about him and the capabilities.
I'm a big fan of Ander Herrera. But I didn't quite understand why he wasn't given the opportunity. He'd come in and it was like, you know, the game against Everton, you know, when we won 3-0, I think it was. Yeah. You know, and he had an outstanding game. And then he'd drop him, you know, a couple of weeks later or the week after.
It was just, that was the problem with Van Gaal. There wasn't much rhyme or logic to what he was doing, and whenever you did see a team and you thought, right, this is our team, this is looking good, he'd change something, or when things didn't work out for that team, he wouldn't change it in the right way. And Herrera quite often under Van Gaal was wasted, and I think no one really knew, was his best position just behind the striker, was it in central midfield, was it in front of the defence? We never really found out, and I'm hoping now that Mourinho can get the best out of him. One of the interesting things tonight as well is Memphis. Is he going to get a game? Is he going to get a game off the bench?
Well, he's almost disappeared, hasn't he, a little bit? You know, I think the problem with Memphis though is I'd love to see him in the side, but I think if you bring him in, you've got to commit to giving him a certain number of games, and I just don't think we can do that at the moment. You know, and I think that's the real shame. I think give him. You know, he's like, I kind of liken him a few times to Hazard. You know, that's what he reminds me of. He's a confidence player. When he's on it, he's got everything about his game. And when he's not, you know, he struggles to deliver. And I think I'd just like to see him brought in when Jose knows he can give him that run of games. So if it's, you know, if we've got a couple of cup games followed, you know, a cup game followed by a Europa League game, maybe give him 2 games in a row and just give him that confidence to say, right, we've got you now. For a couple of games, go out there and impress. But I don't see how he fits into this side at the minute.
I think it might take an injury or a suspension or something like that. Like you say, it might be in a case of in more cup games, if we do have a couple of cup games or and maybe an easier Premier League game, he might get a chance. But I don't think at the moment he's getting much of a look in. And to be fair, he's on a bit of a hiding up against, because when the likes of Anthony Martial or Marcus Rashford aren't guaranteed a place in the side, and they can both play in a similar position to Memphis, then he's gonna struggle. But I think Mourinho hasn't given up on him. I think we know if he did, in the likes of Schweinsteiger or someone like that.
This is where you know, now that we've started to get a few more games, you know, I think Jose said, didn't he, early on, that he was waiting for the Europa League. As much as we're not a big fan of the Europa League, you know, it's an opportunity to give guys game time. You know, and early on in the season, it's been just every weekend. You know, you've not got that chance to experiment, maybe bring in lads that haven't had the opportunity. And I would like to see Memphis given a chance at some point, but you know, you can't really drop anyone else that's in there. I don't think Martial started great, but I think he's someone you can't drop. He's not been too bad.
No.
You know, Rashford gets in ahead of him.
Talking of which, bang on Kuip.
Rashford out on the right in a minute. Just he's end product there, not quite there, but that's where you want to see Rashford. I think you want to see him out on the right, you know, coming inside. I think he can play that central role, but even, you know, against City, when he picks the ball up, there's just something about him.
Yeah.
You know, he can run at players, and you never quite know which way he's going to go.
There's a player we all love to hate. Everyone loves to hate Dirk Kuyt. I think with Rashford, I think he's that good. You can play him anywhere along the front. You can play him centre, you can play him left, you can play him right. In many ways, similar to Martial, they've got that in the locker, that they can go past players. They're fast. They've got the ability to finish. So it's just a case of who else have you got in other positions. If you've got Ibrahimovic, obviously he's central, then you're gonna play. I was about to say I could hear a lot of noise in my ear there.
Feyenoord fans allowed. You've started so far, man. Come on, man. I'm not sure about these Feyenoord lads singing "You'll Never Walk Alone" though.
Oh dear. That's going to go down well.
United started all right though in the first. I've got Rashford on the ball, do some damage.
That is the funniest face.
That'll keep the kids away from the fireplace, that one. Definitely. Feyenoord in here.
It's a good block. Darmian's someone.
There's another one we almost forgot about. I don't think we mentioned him, but he's another one that, for some people, should be given a chance at right back. Yeah, it's a weird one because this time last season, everyone was waxing lyrical about him. He seemed to fit straight into the United side. He had a lot of good games, and then I think it was the Emirates was probably a watershed moment for him, perhaps, where he had a bit of a
moment for everyone.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, I don't think that left everyone shell shocked, but he didn't seem to recover from that. He didn't seem to get back into the side for any great length of time, and I think then we saw the likes of Fosu Mensah coming in at right back this season. Valencia, to be fair, I think has done a very good job at right back, so Darmian's almost been forgotten about. But again, if he has a great game today, he's another one that can give Mourinho something to think about.
Players, isn't he, as well? You know, in terms of fitness, you know, and strength and pace, you know, you're not going to get anyone better. But I think, you know, the past couple of years, maybe the last year under Fergie, well, actually, I thought he was really good in that last year under Fergie. Then under Moyes, he lost that confidence. He wasn't sure how he should take people on. Should he run at players? Should he just hold back? There
seems to be a bit of an issue with it. He just seemed unhappy, and I know that sounds like a joke because we all know he's got a bit of a scowl on him. But even things like, you know, he'd go on a run, set up a goal. The goal would go in, everyone would celebrate, and he'd be off on his own. He wouldn't be joining in the celebrations, and he just, at times, he looks like he didn't want to be at United, and he looked like he was playing with a gun to his head. Now this season, he's been a lot more positive. He's getting forward a lot more. He seems, you know, a lot happier. He's had the captain's armband at one point. Well, there's an effort from. You're not going to beat David De Gea from there, to be fair.
Not too much.
No, so yeah, he's someone who has shone so far this season. I think he's having a good start to the season because I was someone who, to be honest with you, I thought Valencia's days were numbered. I thought he'd be one of the ones that would go under Mourinho. I hate to be that
guy, but I never saw the benefit in letting him go. He's a workhorse. I think if he doesn't play, you know, he's always going to sit there and he's going to come on and do exactly the same job. You know, he's very robotic. And I think all it was, I just wanted to see him do something with the ball in that final third. He'll trot back, he'll give you the manpower, he'll push forward. But when you get to the edge of the 18-yard line, you know, that's what we've not seen him do enough of, is just whip the ball in or take a man on and dink a ball over the top. And the number of times he's done that this season already. You know, the Charity Shield, I think that was one of the best things. There were two things for me. Seeing Shaw back playing was one.
Yeah.
Who I think is, I know he's not playing tonight and he's not travelled, but I think he's like a new signing this season. And the other one was seeing Valencia, you know, doing what he was doing on the right-hand side. And that's a typical Jose thing, and it's also something that's very not Louis van Gaal.
Yeah, I think the thing with Valencia as well is people just dismiss it, don't we, the fact that he's a right winger playing at right back. And it's like, well, you should be able to play there, but that's not his natural position. And sometimes, you know, you do struggle when you move position, and people just sort of assumed, oh, he can just slot in there, he can do a job there, because he had some good games in there when he first came in, but he is naturally a winger, and I think he's adapted more. He seems to have switched on a lot more, because I think, as you mentioned under Moyes, he cost us quite a few goals with just switching off, at corners especially, not picking his man up, things like that, and it's almost unforgivable. And now he does seem a lot more switched on, because you know Jose Mourinho isn't going to stomach anything like that.
Well, I think there's that, and I think as a defensive unit, I think Jose's got a much better plan. You know, okay,
Bailly's just City, hurt himself there flying in.
Loves a flying, doesn't he?
Yeah, hopefully it's there you see he looks a little bit
I hope it's nothing worse.
I don't think he'd stay down.
No, he's not the type to stay down, that's for sure. Let's just have a look at this again.
Just goes in, just beats his man to the ball there, doesn't he? And he gets caught.
Played a ball around the outside, and I don't know, is it his knee or his ankle?
He almost seems to knock his one leg knocked into the other one. I think the lad caught him and knocked by his left leg into his right leg.
Stay down if he's not hurt though, that's for sure. Doesn't look good.
Hopefully, it'll just be a bit of a sore leg, but that's not what you want to see.
He's been a steal as well. I tell you, I think the other thing is though, I mean, listen, I don't want to see him injured and go off, but I think that's the one, again, you know, at centre-back, I think we were concerned at the start of the season, I know I was, that we wouldn't have enough cover for Smalling and Blint. You know, and Smalling's not even played.
Fosu Mensah as well, warming up there. He could come on. Again, almost not mentioned him. There's another player that at the end of last season everyone was raving about. And
well, there's Timber, and there's also Twanzebe as well. Who,
he's like the young player, or there was the young player of the year or whatever.
He keeps name-dropping him all the time.
And he's not really had a look in at all. So there's options there, and there's the good thing for from a United fan point of view is there's options that are youngsters that you want to see be given a chance,
Where
not
do you
just
think,
big
where do you think
signings.
Timbo's best position is it at right back? Is it centre back? Defensive midfield?
I think defensive midfield personally, but I think that's where he could sort of affect the game the most, and I think he might be a little bit wasted at right back, and especially this season where we've seen Valencia doing a job. I don't think we should count out the idea of Fosu-Mensah being put into that defensive midfield position, because I think there's still, you know, we're still early doors and everyone's assuming that's it now. Fellaini's going to start every game. This is it. This is going to be the team. You know, it's a long season. Injuries happen, form happens, suspensions happen. So we don't know, do we? And with United playing so many games now, with obviously the Europa League, when the Cup start as well, we still don't know what the team is going to be come sort of the business end of the season. So players like Fosu-Mensah and others who haven't had much of a look in, they could end up, you know, getting a good run in the team and you know, becoming a bit of a mainstay. And I think obviously with Fosu-Mensah, he's one of those players that fans love to see, because he's, you know, he's like Bailly, he gets stuck in, he's strong, he can run with the ball, it's great.
And it was a lot of it was there last season, but I didn't feel it quite as much. We've got a powerful side.
Yeah, you know, like when you mentioned Valencia,
exactly.
Bailly, you know, strong players, Pogba, Ibrahimovic, Fellaini,
and then you've got
Herrera even, he's a strong player.
On the fringes, you bring in, you know, your Fosu-Mensahs and your Tuanzebes. You know, even Luke Shaw, he's only, you know, he's 6'1". You know, he's not tiny. You know, he's got some power on him.
This is it. It's a strong side. And that was one of the problems I think in the past, was United at times looks a little bit weak, could get bullied. You know, and it cost them games, cost them goals. Where I don't think you see that now. And I think last time I was here, Housen was mentioning it, the fact that there's players in that side now for United that make the opposition wouldn't fancy playing against them. You know you're going to be in for a tough game, a physical game. You know, and it was interesting because it was something that City, Guardiola mentioned before the City game, the derby. It was something that obviously on their mind was the fact that they're going to have a physical game. Now, obviously, you know, it didn't sort of work out to United's advantage, but United are a strong physical side now. But with the likes of Rashford, Mata, you've got that bit of skill as well, which is it's a good balance.
I see Herrera doing as well, just running with the ball, picking it up and drive. He's another player again that I think is underrated with the ball at feet, running at players. You know, because you look at your Pogbas and you look at your Rashfords and your Martials, you forget that Herrera's got that in his locker.
This is it, and this is an interesting one now. Free kicks as well, because
no Wayne Rooney.
No Wayne Rooney, no Ibrahimovic. So Pogba's obviously stepping up. He fancies this one. That's another one. You've got options there. I don't know how strong the options are for taking free kicks at the moment, but
about 20-25 yards, something like that. So, well, no, maybe a bit
oh,
further,
Mata as well, lingering around.
Maybe 30 yards. Mata, I'd see this is a Pogba for me.
Yeah.
Oof,
no, I think it's on target, but the keeper I think saw that one coming a while away.
Yeah, I mean, just talking of Pogba a little bit more, and I know we mentioned it only very briefly, we didn't really have a big conversation on it, but in that role a little bit further forward, do you think that's his best position? Tackle. Do you think that's where he should be, or do you think he is the box to box, maybe just alongside one other? I
think it needs to change for different games. And I was last time I was here, I said I can see United almost playing a 4-1-4-1. Yeah. I can see him not really being a defensive midfielder, slotting in alongside the defensive midfielder to be that Fellaini,
some limbs there in the Feyenoord box,
whoever. Yeah. But I think you need to adapt. And against City, the problem was United didn't adapt. Pogba was almost in no man's land a lot of the time. He wasn't getting forward enough and he wasn't doing his defensive duties, which left Fellaini completely isolated and exposed, and it cost United dearly. I think had United played against a Southampton or whoever, a side that didn't have two world-class central midfielders, they would have got away with that. And I think that when it is a City or a Chelsea maybe, or a strong team, a team that's got a good midfield, you might have to decide what you're going to do with Pogba. Are you going to tell him, listen, sit in front of the defence, be disciplined, or are you going to give him license to roam and put another midfielder in there alongside?
A little bit like tonight. I mean, you know, Herrera and Schneidlin, and then you've got Pogba. You would say, he just looks like he's got a little bit more freedom. You know, you look at him already, and he's just finding himself in a little bit of space. Not quite sure.
He wins the free kick. Nice little pirouette.
Little turn, just off the ball.
But yeah, I mean, the thing is, you don't want to see him. A lot of the problem is you think you don't buy an £89 million player to sit him in front of the defence. You want to see him doing a little bit more than that. But he can affect games by running forward with the ball. But if he is going to go forward against the better teams, you need to have cover. You need to have someone who's going to remain disciplined, and you can't just rely on Marouane Fellaini to do it all.
It's a great ball over to the back stick. Headed over in it. Is that offside? Marcus Rojo? Yeah, looks like it's offside. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you on that a little bit. And the other thing is, I mean, you know, you're never going to shake that price tag off. I was talking to someone yesterday about this, and you know, they were saying you can't pretend that price tag is going to disappear.
No.
And it's up to him now, really, to take the game by the scruff of the neck in games like this. I think I know it's the Europa League, but I think this is a really good opportunity for him to shine. And I don't think there's going to be many games that Paul Pogba doesn't want to play.
The thing was as well, there was one point on Saturday against City where Jesse Lingard was having a nightmare. The ball kept bouncing off him, going out, giving it away. And you can see his head, it was getting to him. The crowd were getting on his back. And Pogba ran over to him, sort of gave him a little hug and had a whisper in his ear, you know, just saying, come on, don't worry about it, sort of thing. And the funny thing is, after he walked off, Rooney went and did the same thing. And then you saw Pogba chatting to his teammates and sort of saying, come on. Now, the sort of negative side of that is Pogba didn't perform to his level that, you know, he should have done himself. But he was giving out a little pep talk to people, having a little word, and that's what you want to see. And I think that if he can perform to levels that he's expected of, he can be a leader. He can be that sort of player. You know, he's obviously bags of confidence. He's got a little bit about him, and I think he can be a sort of player that you can build your team around. I just think we have to be a little bit patient. Just because you spent £89 million on a player doesn't mean he's going to come in and set the world alight straight away. And people say, oh, well, he knows the Premier League. He doesn't know the Premier League. He played, how many games did he play in the Premier League? 2, I think, off the top of my head.
He knows European football. You know, he's played. You know, they got to a Champions League final. You know, so he knows what he's doing in that midfield. I think it's taking time to settle. I think the atmosphere is so much better now at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
You know, as a United fan, I think we're expecting that everything's going to click straight away. Everything's going to start working, and it just doesn't always work like that. You know, it takes time to change that mentality of the past couple of years. You know, and the first 3 games were really positive. But I think, you know, maybe the weekend was good for us. I never want to lose a derby, but maybe it just gives us that wake up call that there's still a lot of work to be done. It's not just going to have changed in the summer. You know,
no, you bang on, because this is the thing. You look at the quality of opposition. I know Leicester obviously were the champions and played them in the Community Shield, but Southampton, Bournemouth. Where are they going to end up at the end of the season? You know,
it's a good time to play.
It was, and it's easy. Hull again. I know they had a good start to the season, but you know, you're talking about 3 teams that feasibly could be fighting relegation.
Yeah. So
everyone does get excited naturally, especially when Pogba he comes in and his first game is a really good one. You think this is it, but then you come up against a side like City, and it is a bit of a jump. It's a massive jump from playing the level of opposition United have done to playing someone like City, and the way that City set up was different than other teams that United have faced, and I think that was a factor that United weren't prepared for. Rashford here on a bit of a one-on-one.
Well, you want to see him one-on-one.
Just gets a little bit crowded out there.
I don't mind seeing a player who's that down as well. Who's got someone down in the middle of the park.
Feyenoord don't seem too bothered about that. They're just playing on.
Is it Mata?
I'm not sure who that. Yeah, it is. I don't know how serious that is. I think he might be okay.
It's fine. Cheeky little Spanish face. Yeah, I mean, just going back to what you were saying there, I think there's a, you know, the games we were talking about, Hull, Southampton, you know, and Hull, Southampton, Bournemouth.
Yeah.
You know, those are 3 games I think that breed confidence, and that's good. But you've got to go into those bigger games, and you've got to know what you're doing. And I think that's just going to take time for me. That's the key. You know, and I know that City have come in and started well. We've had a good start to the season, but City are going to have bigger tests as well.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not been easy for them. So I just think there's a level of patience that's needed. But you know, Rashford there, he's willing to take players on, and it's something I don't think we've seen enough of. I
think that was the big thing on Saturday, and when the team was announced, I was baffled how Rashford hadn't started, and not just that Rashford hadn't started, how he changed the team and not brought Rashford in, which didn't make any sense to me. To sort of bring Lingard back in and give Mkhitaryan a start, and not, you know, leave Rashford out. Fair play to him. He acknowledged it at half time, but it was almost too late by then. And I think it was a little bit of a surprise just how positive. Was that Martial there? shot from just inside the box, just wide that. He could do with a goal, I think.
Yeah,
Martial, I think he
agree.
could.
I'm just going to see if we can
I
get
think
some
he
comments
could.
up, guys, actually, as well. If you've got any questions, any comments you want to talk to us about the game, drop them in. I'll read out a few. If that is, I can get them up.
Not far wide there. Decent effort, just slices it a little bit. I think to be fair, I think the keeper had it covered.
See, I don't mind a little bit of that though. Just test them from range.
Yeah. And I think it's a bit of a funny one with Martial, because he's not had the best starts of the season, but I think he's not been as bad as some people are making out. I think he's obviously had a little bit of turmoil going on in his private life as well, which doesn't help for a young lad. But I think Mourinho's addressed Martial's form a few times this season, and he said, he's happy with him. I know he dropped him for the derby, but someone like Martial, he's a match winner. And it's great that United have got those options now with the likes of Martial and Rashford. And I think if Martial could get a goal tonight, he's one player that could perhaps do with silencing a few of his critics he's had this season, who I think have got a little bit carried away.
Just going to try and get some of these comments up. Okay, we've got a few. One rather unflattering comment about Rojo.
Oh, right, okay.
Someone has given us a prediction. Full time, reckon United will win 2-0, Pogba and Rashford. It's a bold call. It's doable though. Definitely possible. Someone's birthday. CMS X Ray Ray. Is their happy birthday?
Happy birthday, CMX X Ray Ray. Happy.
What's with a double Ray? That's all that about. Martial's great, good runs, and he's at the right place, but his finishing's been really off. Do you think that's something that's going to come back? I think if he manages to just bag a scruffy goal somewhere.
Yeah, I think we know he can finish. We've seen him finish in big games as well. He's Liverpool in the semi-final FA Cup. I don't think he's finishing in question. Sometimes all players go through it, don't they? In terms of hitting a target and things just not quite happening for him. And I think it has been a little bit overstated. Against, I think it was Southampton, there was a couple of chances where last season you think he would have buried them, and it just wasn't happening for him. But he's a young player. He's still, even though he scored a lot of goals last season, he's still finding his feet in the Premier League. People forget that. People just think, he's established now. He's not. But I think he's fine. He's not a player that I'd be concerned about whatsoever.
Someone says Pogba. Samid Ahmed says Pogba's our best player, just needs confidence.
Oh, that was nearly got Rashford in there.
He's getting in behind, he's trying. The opportunity's always there. If you can play a ball just round the corner.
There's Herrera as well, doing that job you love him doing, tackling Mark.
There's just something about it. He's a typical Jose player for me. He's that guy that just wants to win the ball back at every opportunity.
And he's got class on the ball as well. He's not just him and
Mata together,
a ball winner. He can do things with it.
Mata's drifted out to the right hand side, but I think those two together can work really well as well.
What do you see for Schneiderlin? He's a bit of a Marmite player from what I've seen. A lot of people seem to rave about him. And then there's one or two who think he's not done enough.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
What do you make of that midfield three as well? Do you think it should be Schneiderlin, Herrera, Pogba? Would you change it up? Would you put someone else in there as well? Let us know. Will Blint go on the bench when Smalling is back and fully ready?
That's the good question. Logically, you think he would. You think that Smalling would probably come back into the side, but I'm not so sure. I like Blint. I think he's composed, and I think he reads the game. Yeah, he reads the game really well. And I think if you're going to start pointing fingers at the weekend, you can't just start Daley Blint. There's a lot of players that just didn't do the job they were asked to do. And he was left badly exposed as well. Admittedly, he didn't help himself with some of his decision making, but he was exposed.
We did, on Full-Time Devils yesterday. I don't think the video's gone up just yet, but we were doing our all-time United 11.
Don't give it away.
And we've seen a number of different.
Was Daley Blint in there?
Centre back. Not yet.
About to say. Well, fair enough. That's each to their own.
We've seen a number of decent centre-back partnerships in the past. There's been some really good centre-backs that we've had. And one of the big partnerships that came up, I'm not going to tell you who picked what, I'm not going to tell you who was in that side, but one of the big partnerships that were there was Rio and Vidic. Rio is a great ball player, and Vidic was okay on the ball, but he was that brute, put his limbs anywhere, get his head on.
Yeah, it's always the way, whether it's Stam and Jonsson, whether it's Bruce and Pallister, you seem to have two players who complement each other in the centre of defence, Vidic and Rio. One who can pick the ball up, carry it out of defence, bit of elegance. Another one who's a bit more rough and tumble. Yeah. And I think that you look at Bailly and Blint, it's obvious which one fits into which category there. Don't think I need to explain that one. The question is, would Smalling and Bailly work the same way? Would you have... Smalling does like to carry the ball out. Is he that side player? Could they complement each other?
Those two, I think they complement each other, but only because they're weird. I know this is going to sound weird, bear with me. I think they complement each other because they're very similar players. They're not... But they're both similar players, but they've got like a range of different talents, if you will. They're not... Neither's completely brutish, although Bailey's started to show that now. But you wouldn't say he was a Vidic necessarily, and he's good on the ball. And Smalling's kind of the same. He'll get his head stuck on things, and he's good on the ball. But I wouldn't say they fall into a Rio or a Vidic category necessarily. I
think the game's changed a little bit. I think the game changes all the time, and I think now, you look at.
Someone just says we are Hull.
We are Hull. Yeah, well, that's a heady compliment. Any team that's managed by Mike Phelan, I think everyone would be happy with that one. Definitely.
Morgan is such an amazing player. If given the chance, he can be our first choice centre defensive.
Well, there you go. There's someone who...
Dakar says
someone definitely... nice little bit of skill there from Martial.
So, he's a Marmite player, isn't
he? Most people, I think, tend to rate him, but I've seen a few people who've really been on social media. I know that doesn't tell you everything, but...
There's rating him, and there's... Do you think he's good enough to be a starter in this United
I think
side?
the problem is a lot of people don't like Fellaini. I think that recently, I think he's won quite a few of his critics over because he has had a positive start to the season against City. People may laugh. I thought he was arguably our best player, and I don't think that's saying much because it wasn't a great United performance.
I would say that last season, but he was as far as I'm concerned, he was up there with our best player.
Yeah, in the beginning of the season, he's played well and he's done the role that's been asked of him, and I think that. Previously, people don't like Fellaini. They don't like seeing Fellaini in the side, and especially don't like seeing Fellaini in the side at the expense of Schneiderlin, for example. So Schneiderlin, I think, a lot of people do support him because of that, and also, we know what he can do.
Just talking about the midfield, we're talking about individual players, and we've kind of mentioned formations a little bit. But someone said here, love that Moose switched to 4-3-3. Love that Jose switched it. Again, you said before, and I know you've kind of answered this a little bit, that you tailor it to each game. But if you were to pick, regardless of opposition, which I know you always play different types of opposition, so it's very difficult to judge. But if you were to just pick right now, United's best 11, who would be, say, a midfield 3 for you?
Midfield 3.
Who would be yours, by the way, guys? Get it in as well while Jay's giving his thoughts.
Fosu, Angel, Pogba.
I thought you were, some people would have Fosu and Pogba together, but apparently you can't do that. It's illegal. I think that's what. Legal team, the lawyers, the FTD lawyers have informed us that it's against Premier League rules, subsection 4, paragraph 3.
Too much power.
Yeah, you cannot put them together. It's unfair. I would probably I've never hated Fellaini as much as others have, so I'm not against the idea of him being in the side. So I'd probably say Fellaini, Pogba, and Herrera would be a good 3. But I think the problem is, if you have a midfield 3, if you have 4-3-3, can you have Rooney in that? Does that work? Can you have Wayne Rooney in a 4-3-3? And if you do, where do you play him?
I don't think you can. I think, again, I know I've been very vocal about this. I know there's lots of...
Tell us your thoughts on Wayne Rooney, Sweeney. Stop sitting on the fence. Come on, man. People need to know.
I'll say it again, just in case you've not already seen any of my tweets.
You don't need to see your tweets to know your opinion on Wayne Rooney.
He just doesn't get in the side for me. I think, going back to what you said before, horses for courses, different games need different players. And Wayne Rooney's got a place in this squad, of course he has. But I reference, Gerrard for Liverpool. He was a great player, slightly heathen to say it, but he was. But that last couple of years, they were too laboured in taking him out of the side. And his reputation preceded him. And instead of giving some of the younger lads those opportunities, he was always getting in the side. And I just think it hinders the growth of the side. We've got a lot of great young players right now. And that kind of 4-3-3, I just don't see Wayne Rooney fitting into that side. He can do some okay things in the middle of the park if you're playing a Southampton, for example, and he can drift then. But in the tougher games, I just don't think there's a natural position for him in a 4-3-3, and I think that's the natural formation for United.
I mean, you look at it, and if you was to say have a front 3 of Zlatan, Rashford, and Martial, I don't think anyone would be complaining about that. you know, that is a strong attacking lineup. And obviously it doesn't feature Wayne Rooney, and then you have a midfield three. Would you play Wayne Rooney in midfield? Mourinho said he wouldn't do that. He said he doesn't want him.
Do you think
he doesn't want him that far away from the opposition's goal? He said
do you think that's causing
anyone
a
can
problem?
play great passes when they've got no pressure on him.
Problem saying that he can't. You know, he's going to be a number 10 or a 9.5.
I think he can adapt. I think if Mourinho changed his mind, I don't think too many people would be bothered about
Jose
it.
out. If he changes his mind.
This is it. I just wonder how undroppable Wayne Rooney is in Jose's mind, because one of the questions I always think is, does Zlatan want to start every game? Is he going to spit his dummy out if you start dropping him? And why would you drop him, to be fair? Can you afford to have two 30-odd-year-old forwards who have to start every game or every big game? Is that going to work? I don't know if it is all the way through the season, especially when you're going to get into sort of the squeaky bum time, as Fergie used to call it. So you might have to start looking at that. And if you do look at that, if it was one or the other, it's obviously, from the fans' point of view, I don't think there's many fans who'd rather see Zlatan drop for Rooney. It'd be the other way round. Is that going to happen though? Would Mourinho make that call?
See, I can't see it. Just by the way, guys, if you're watching us, which is great, and if you're not, you couldn't hear us anyway. If you're watching us and you're watching the game, take a picture of your dual screen, whether it's your TV and your computer, or it's on the computer, both of them. You're streaming it. Send a picture of that to @FullTimeDEVILS on Twitter, and we will get some retweets going out as well. So just show everyone that you're listening to the great minds of Jay and Adam. That's what you need to do. It's been a bit of a dull first 35
Not quite happening, is it? There's been a couple of sort of half chances rather than proper chances. I don't think Feyenoord have done much. I think they've sort of kept them at bay, long range efforts and whatnot.
Do you think it's a game maybe that they might tire in? And that's where the pace of a Rashford and a Martial might start causing
Definitely. You'd expect this to be a lot tougher for them, because they shouldn't be used to this sort of level.
Picking the ball up on the halfway line.
Just not losing it.
Yeah.
Almost jinxed him there, I think.
Someone's just said in here that, Pogba just needs to grab the game by the scruff of the neck. And to be honest, I was saying about Rashford, I'd say the same about Pogba. It's a little bit different in central midfield, but I don't mind a player occasionally losing the ball. I've seen a few people at Old Trafford in the past couple of years, and Memphis is a good example.
Yeah.
Memphis taking players on it, not quite working out, and him getting stick off United fans, and that's not the right way to go about it for me. I think you want to see players taking men on. I'd rather they took men on, it didn't quite work out every time.
Absolutely.
Than not do it at all.
Absolutely. And if you look at someone like Memphis, talking of taking someone on, I think Martial's going on a bit of a run there.
New 11 number Martial as well. I
thought that was a foul then, to be honest with you, but the referee don't seem interested. Feyenoord are trying to counter now.
This is where I don't know. See, I'm still not as concerned as I might have been last season with them breaking. See, I say that they're going to score now, aren't they? Dink ball in.
He's
Smalling.
deluded if he thinks he's going to have a free kick out on that one.
I think Smalling's that reliable player.
The thing with this,
would you say we've now got 3 centre backs vying for 2 positions?
I think so. Yeah, I think Blint is a centre back. I know there's still people that say he can play
Could
defensive
Rojo play
midfield.
Centre-back, do you think? He's playing left back today, obviously, but
although I'm not quite as angry as that fan, or as against him as that fan that messaged him before, I'm not a big fan of Rojo. I'll be honest with you.
Poor start. It's like when we had LVG, says Zircon HD.
Oh well,
he said LVH, but I'm assuming unless that's how he thinks.
Louis van Gaal is phonetically. He's writing it phonetically. He knows our intelligence level when we're reading out these
Rojo
these
is
tweets.
Anonymous, says someone.
He's anonymous. Why has he not scored? Why is Rojo not getting hold of this game, bombing down that pitch and breaking the back of the Feyenoord net? You're right, he is anonymous. Terrible. Get him subbed.
Darmian should have been left back and Valencia at right back. I mean, Valencia's not travelled, so maybe Fosu Mensah at right back and Darmian at left back might have been an option.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. Darmian, I might be wrong here, and I'm sure people at home will correct me if I am. But didn't Darmian go to left back at the Emirates, and wasn't that part of the problem where the wheels sort of came off?
So many things wrong at the Emirates.
I don't know. I'd much prefer him at right back, if I'm honest.
Name into the fray that United have written off. I mean, they're in the financial reports this week.
Have you been reading financial reports again?
Hey. Yeah, well, I just wanted to hark back to the LVG.
Come on.
Just
have you run out of porn?
Something dull. Yeah, absolutely. No, it's just in my favourite. I've run out of all my favourites.
Right, okay.
I had to look at something else. And Schweinsteiger's been written off now completely as an asset.
Oh, right, so he no longer counts.
They've put down, they wrote... Ooh.
Is that another corner there? Was that, did that come off Darmian?
For Feyenoord. Yeah, they've written off LVG, you know, the 8 million or whatever they paid for him, and 6.7 million or something, I think, that they've
small in there.
written off Bastian Schweinsteiger.
It's a shame because if you sort of look back at when he signed, how excited everyone was, how much everyone respected him, the fact that he wanted to come to United, he made a big deal about the fact that he loved United and he always wanted to play.
Strong there.
Yeah. I don't think. I don't know what he's appealing for there, but yeah, everyone was sort of appreciative of the way that he wanted to come to United, and it was like Schweinsteiger, one of the biggest names.
Yeah.
I know he's past his best, but still a massive name, one of the biggest names in world football.
Slightly Butch Ellen-looking man.
Well, there you go.
Look a little bit like Ellen, as far as I'm concerned.
Ellen DeGeneres.
Ellen DeGeneres. He's got the look of Ellen DeGeneres. Don't let me pull up a pic. He does. That's what he looks like. If you ever look at him, like on the pitch, he's a little bit different. You know, he's like a Terry Butcher.
Well, it's like Patrick Kielty. I don't know. Yeah, that's a bit of an older reference there. If anyone's, you know, for the older generation. But he looks like them.
I'm really sorry, guys. If you don't know who Paddy Kielty is, just
have a Google.
Look him up. If not, just Google Bastian Schweinsteiger.
Yeah, they're practically one and the same. You never see them in the same room. But yeah, it's just not worked out, has it, for Schweinsteiger? And I think there's been a lot made of the way he's been treated and all the rest of it. But I think as we've spent Feyenoord there with a bit of an effort.
Finding space, aren't they, in the box at the minute?
They are. You'd expect them to, though. You'd expect this is a game they'll be looking at, and they're thinking they'll need to win.
I mean, I wouldn't say, you know, I wouldn't say I've looked at a few of these opportunities and think that they've caused us too many problems. But they are getting to the 18-yard line and they are putting balls in. I mean, this one from the left-hand side, you know, he's cut past Darmian there a bit too easily. A ball across the box, a decent effort there, and it could trouble De Gea. But yeah, we maybe just need to keep the ball a little bit. You know, maybe we should hark back to a little bit of LVG and just stabilise the
possession.
Game and then push forward.
It's like you say, though. I think they're not causing us too many problems, and I think as the game wears on, you'll expect United to be more dominant. I'd expect Feyenoord to struggle with the pace of United more than the other way around.
Josh Alawi, thanks for your dual screen.
So we've got some dual screens in already. Josh Alawi apparently sent it in. We'll get that retweeted for you. If anyone else is dual screening, listening to the wonderful Paddy Kielty tales of me and Jay, then make sure that you tweet at FullTimeDEVILS with your dual screen picture, whether it's your TV, your laptop, or it's all on your laptop, it's all on your TV. I don't know how high tech you are, to be honest. I have HDMI cables running all the way around your room.
Bit of pressure here, a bit of pressure. Yes, he needs to get a grip of this game.
Someone mentioned something about Memphis actually as well. I was really hoping Memphis started. I love Martial, but Memphis needs a boost and a huge one at that. Anything you guys would have changed about our starting 11? Jay, anything you would have changed?
Not really. I'm quite happy with the starting 11. I think it gives us the fringe players that needed a bit of game time or what might prove a point to Marino. It gives them a chance. Main thing is I wanted to see Rashford get a start. I think we all did. Martial as well. I think we talked about his confidence. I think this is the sort of game we've already seen him sort of going on a few runs as well.
The thing is,
can't really complain about that.
You know, there have been some players rested. You know, Valencia, Shaw, Rooney's been rested as well. Blint's, you know, there, but he's rested. Do you think then that this is is this a squad that if we had injuries we could still really challenge? I mean, I look at this side now. So, and you're talking about changing maybe the starting 11. I think this is a strong starting 11, and it's still giving us the opportunity to rest those players.
I think there's only a few players that United would really struggle if they got an injury. Someone like Paul Pogba, for example, he gets an injury, that's going to be a massive loss. David De Gea gets an injury, that's, you know, goes without saying. But other than that, I think you can look at United's squad. You think, okay, let's say Zlatan gets an injury, then you've got other options up front. If Martial gets an injury, you know, Mata can come in or whatever. There's options all over the park. I think there's one or two players that, like the ones I mentioned, who are pretty sort of vital. You know, but other than that, I think there's a real squad here.
That central midfield. I mean, I think that says, you know, Schweinsteiger being written off, as we were talking about a few minutes ago. I think that kind of says everything about how much depth we've probably got in the middle of the park. You know, Herrera, Mata, Schneiderlin, Carrick. I mean, he's someone that, you know, that we've not really seen.
Exactly, and I think that you look at those players, as I was sort of speaking about earlier on before kick-off, when United have had a squad in the past. Who's that, sorry?
Well, cheeky Sport Dave is on the line, I believe.
Yes!
Yes, Dave,
I'm in the building. Doing good, doing really good. I'm currently in Peru, watching this game with some Spanish on ESPN, you know, but Doing pretty well, thanks. How you lot doing there?
We're good, mate. What do you make of the game so far? It's not been the best first 45, has it?
No, it hasn't been particularly exciting, to be honest with you. I guess it's something that we should have expected. Playing the fresh formation that we haven't played in a while, 4-3-3, playing a group of lads who haven't played together for a while either. So it's kind of expected. I'm sure we're going to grow into the game. Second half is coming up, and I'm sure we can do a lot better. Marshall had a pretty good chance there, but I think he's just lacking that final bit, which he will get. When he does, I'm sure he'll keep firing.
What do you make of the starting 11? We've just had someone in the comments there asking us what we'd maybe change from the starting 11 for the game today. Do you think it's a strong enough side? Enough rotation? Not enough rotation?
I think it is a strong enough side. I think it's about time we get some of these boys in, because if we don't, then when we need them later on in the season in bigger games as well, we won't have the opportunity to see what they can do, and they wouldn't have the match rhythm. So I think it's a perfect opportunity and perfect game to get that going with them. I just think we should stick it out second half. Give it 60 minutes or so. If not, then we've got to make a couple of changes. But I think the rhythm will come. We're not playing with any degree of flair at the moment, but it's what I would expect of a team that haven't played together. A competitive game together. So it's not to be alarmed about, I don't think.
We've got to bring it up just a little bit while you're on, Dave, just to talk about the derby. I know that you were on a fan cam afterwards. Do you think we can bounce back from that now? Can we get a big come on for bouncing
Absolutely.
back?
Absolutely. I think after the fan cam, I was, sometimes I'm in the comments, checking out for the trolls and that. A lot of people were talking about how Dave might be a little bit deluded because of the result and so on and so forth. I don't think it's being deluded, being positive about your side. It's not always doom and gloom. I think there's always positives you can take from a defeat, and I think the second half United showed that they have the ability to change, that we've got an ability to see a game, to read it, and then to make changes, the necessary changes to put some impetus back into the side. So I trust the manager. I think we're going to do pretty well. I think we definitely will bounce back. But I think this game it was brave of the manager, but I think it was correct of the manager to go with a 4-3-3 formation, because he said he was going to use 4-2-3-1 and 4-3-3 throughout the season. I think it was the perfect time for him to do so. And I just think it's going to take some time for these boys to get some rhythm back into play in a competitive game. But I don't think there's anything majorly to worry about, to be honest with you.
Is there such a thing as a pessimistic, cheeky sport, Dave?
I mean, the truth of the matter is, it's like we could, you can't run away from the truth. Like there's always a truth in the reality of what the game is. A loss is a loss, and it's hurtful, it's painful. But like I said, etched into the fabric of our old shirts was the words believe. So I will always believe. Supporting Manchester United, that's part and parcel of what it is to support Manchester United, to always believe that something fantastic, something amazing is going to happen. And I think, especially this season, with the manager, with the players, with the vibe that we're getting from the dressing room and the players, I think there's no better time since Fergie left to have that kind of belief. So there's always going to be a positive, cheeky sport Dave in there, and I always am going to believe in Manchester United. So come on, United! Come on!
Happy day. One last thing then, Dave. All right, so it's half time. What are your plans for half time out there in Peru? What are you going to do? Beers? What's happening?
I'm going to listen to a bit of the Spanish commentary.
Nice.
Get on the old.
We encanta español.
Fluent there.
Get on the old Twitter. See what everyone's saying on Twitter about the game so far. I guess hope for a better second half. I think we will be making some changes. I don't think we might make any instant 45 minutes changes, but I think within 60 minutes or so, if there isn't more impetus, I can see Jose making some changes there. So, but yeah, as always, proud of the boys, proud of the spirit that they've got. We just need to push on and show us a bit more attacking impetus into the game, and I think we'll be great.
I think Jay's got a question.
Dave, can I just ask you, mate? You spoke about changes there after an hour. If it stays the same, 0-0, what changes would you make? I guess. I think I would. I'd give
Memphis. I'll give Memphis a go. I think he's hungry. I think he's a bit. He's desperate to prove himself, which sometimes causes him to make a few mistakes there. But I definitely will give him an opportunity to prove himself. Because end of the day, if not here, then it wouldn't be until the League Cup. But I think it will be a perfect opportunity for Memphis to get on and show what he can show. And last season, it was in Europe that he actually showed his best for Manchester United. So I think, especially knowing the league, knowing the players, more than anyone else at Manchester United, I think he's got a great advantage and coming on and making a difference there. So I think in the final third, I definitely will bring on the likes of Memphis, and obviously you've got the likes of Mensah as well, who can show a lot of attacking. Yeah, bro, man like Timbo. Can show a lot of attacking impetus.
What's not to love about Timbo?
Oh,
he's a future cheeky.
Oh, listen, he's absolutely fantastic. Hey, he doesn't know it yet. But he is cheeky sport Timbo.
Happy days. Well, cheers, Dave. Thanks for coming on. Enjoy half-time in Peru and the second half as well.
Most definitely. I'll try and give you guys a shout back before the end of the game.
Top stuff. Cheers, mate.
See you later, Dave. I'll tell you what. He didn't need a camera.
No. Is he loud enough?
Could hear him from Peru.
No, yeah. No, do you know what though? I mean, I think Memphis is a big one. We spoke about it before. I know we've already talked about it a little bit, but I do think it's a good opportunity for him out in Holland as well. It's a place that he knows, and I think in a weird kind of way, I think it'd be a perfect opportunity for him to just find his feet again.
Yeah,
opportunity.
I think it's one of those as well. If say United aren't getting that goal and he wasn't to come on, what's that going to say to him? The fact that even when they're chasing a goal, get the game in Holland, and he's in the Europa League, and he still doesn't get an opportunity, it's not going to do his confidence any good. I think he does need to get a bit of a chance. Oh, is this McCullough? Macca's back.
Sorry guys. Hi guys, how you doing?
Mark, how are you doing?
Sorry guys, everyone's going a little bit mad at half time here. Half time 0-0, Marshall Mata. We thought Marshall's was in up here. Mata probably could have scored near the end as well. I'm not sure how close it was to that one, but overall, it has been better for United. 3 in midfield is definitely the way forward. Schneiderlin's cleaning up for everybody. Herrera's all over the place. Pogba's got a free roll. So it's happening. What do you think? Perfect. Yeah. Well, we're very fucking poor. We're second best.
What do you say? You really think?
So we ain't got midfield at the moment. Pogba's non-existent. So completely opposite to me, then. I thought we looked better than we did on Saturday in midfield.
Looking in different directions.
With the freedom, it gives Pogba a bit more freedom. He hasn't done much with it yet. He needs to do something with that freedom. Herrera's running around like a headless chicken. He's doing it. Herrera's the only one who's putting any effort into me. Needs to get more from him. But I think, personally, the goal's coming. We just got to keep going. Everyone's singing to score at the moment. As you see, we're confident United can score. It's alright. But get there. Guys are okay. Well in the studio.
Yeah, thanks, Macca.
Scores in, gets away. Scores in, gets away. Scores in, gets away. Scores in, gets away.
Yeah, I'm completely.
There you go. I think one of them's watching a different game from the other one there. That's clear that one up.
So, to be honest, I'm not really sure what's just happened there. So sorry about that. Make sure you keep getting your comments in as well, guys. We'll read a few out at half time. Let's have a look, see what's going on, see what people are saying on the live chat. Okay, I'm gonna look for some long ones. Rashford and Martial should swap positions. I think Martial is better through the middle.
I think Martial's done okay. He's gone on a few runs, not quite happened for him. I don't know if you need to change it. I wouldn't change it straight away. Maybe give it another 15 minutes and see if it's not happening.
Someone's saying that Rooney's not been good enough.
Anonymous.
I'd agree that he's completely anonymous from this game. I've seen not a lot of Wayne Rooney. Well, I suppose I've not seen anything bad from Wayne Rooney.
Yeah.
Sure, so.
It's still seen enough to upset people, no doubt.
Clearly, obviously.
The man that everyone seems to love to hate.
I want the result, not be entertained first. It's like going to the strip club to pull no sense. Oh, to pull no sense. Right, I see what you mean. I've nothing to come back with on that, to be quite honest. It's a strange analogy, but thank you. Rashford is too overrated.
Rashford is too overrated. That's
German,
blasphemy.
He'd just be
That's
any ordinary player.
terrible. That's the worst thing I think I've ever heard.
Get out.
You can't overrate Marcus Rashford. He's literally the greatest player in the history of association football.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end the watch along. No, we're not really. Not really. That should be the end note. I'm going to come to you later on. Right, when we're wrapping up, that's what I want from you.
What?
Just that line.
Don't listen once, and Alison will say this. Once after the derby, I said that Marouane Fellaini was a shoo-in for the Ballon d'Or. So there's no.
He's got better. You know, I mean, it's the J school of improvements. That's what this is.
So you gotta have a positive attitude, guys.
Bring
Come on.
Ibra.
Yeah.
Too soon? Too soon.
I wouldn't want to see Ibra have to come into this game, if I'm honest. I'd like to see the players that haven't been given a chance show what they can do. And I think if we're going on before the game about the strength of United's squad and how strong it is and how, you know, it looks like they've got a squad where you can mix and match it and challenge anyone, then this is the ideal opportunity to prove that. And I think if you have to bring on a player who is a first teamer, who is someone who is always going to start because you can't do it without him, then that would be a little bit disappointing. And again, it comes back to the confidence thing. What the not even Memphis, what are the likes of Rashford and Martial perhaps going to think if one of them gets the curly finger for Zlatan? So I wouldn't start panicking now. It's a European game as well. 0-0 at half time away. Not that bad.
Again, I think there's a confidence play here. Is put Fosu Mensah at right back. Now, the thing for me on this is I'd love to see Timbo get an opportunity.
Yeah.
But you talk about confidence there in Memphis and, you know, Martial and Rashford. If you start bringing people on to try and change the game too early, what does it do for their confidence? You know, what would that do for Darmian's confidence? You know, Valencia's had a great start to the season. You know, he's still a young lad, and I think as much as I've got a lot of time for Darmian, I think that first 3 or 4 games was probably the best spell we saw last season. There wasn't much more after.
No, he did fade drastically.
So, you know, would it be worth making that change, or do you think for the sake of the game, do you think bringing Timbo on's going to change the game enough that it's worth knocking the confidence of a Darmian?
The thing is as well, I just wonder how much Mourinho will be disappointed with the draw. You think we're also, you know, as a United fan, you're thinking, right, go for the win, you know, we've got to get a win. He might look at it and think it's not the end of the world, so just leave it as it is and see if these players can do it. It's not like it's a vital game that you've got to get 3 points from, you've got to get the win from. So you might look at it and think, I'm happy to let these players have the full 90 minutes, or I'm happy to give the likes of Memphis a chance. Whereas if this was a game where he desperately wanted to win, he may think, right, I'm going to bring on Zlatan or whoever. So you have to look at his mentality, and I just think he might just be happy with the way things are going at the moment and be happy to see how it pans out for the next 20 minutes. And he might be tempted to just stick with the fringe players.
There's a few people here that are saying, you know, play Martial through the middle. I mean, someone says, bring Memphis on, play him on the left, Rashford on the right, Martial up front.
A lot of pace there, and a lot of skill.
Someone else says, somewhere I'm just trying to find it, everyone is trying to drive centrally. Martial needs to be a 9, Rashford on the left. So again, there's a big call for Martial down the middle. Pogba's too deep, someone's saying. You know, despite the changes today with Schneiderlin.
I don't think he's been that deep, if I'm honest.
Too deep.
He's not influenced the game as much as perhaps you'd like to see him do. But again,
Emre Can is better than Pogba. I mean, I'm not really sure. I mean, that's
controversial.
That's worse than some of the blasphemous comments that I have seen. Emre Can is better.
At what exactly?
At what?
There's the question.
Because I top pot risotto.
I mean, I'm not really sure what you've been, I don't know, smoking.
I think if Emre Can goes for 89 million, it'll be a bargain for whoever buys him. To be fair, I think that'd be a snip.
Put your bids in now, people.
Yeah.
Put your bids in now. No Fellaini today. Our midfield is not very good. Is the translation?
Never thought you'd hear them words in a sentence. No Fellaini today. Our midfield is not very good.
No, I'm not entirely. There's some foreign languages. Thank you for your comments. I'm sure they're extremely pleasant, but I can't translate them. So sorry about that. Bring on Ibra. Put Rashford on the right. Another one saying the same.
Again, it's too soon.
Talking like you don't. Sorry about that. Didn't really.
Too soon, I think. You've got to be a little bit patient. I don't think there's any need to panic just yet. I think United haven't been as strong as you like to see, but they've had a couple of sort of half chances.
Someone else saying to bring Timbo on at right back and move Darmian over to the left, take Marcus Rojo out.
Marcus Rojo's not a very popular man, is he? Let's have it right. To be fair.
Is there any love out there for Marcus Rojo? Anybody? I mean, I'm not entirely sure whether I'll acknowledge it because I don't think there should be. But if there is, tell us.
He's not. To be fair, if I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit and stick up for Rowe, he's not had the easiest. He's not had the easiest of times, has he? Do you know what I mean? I know. But he's had injury problems. He had a problem with his work permit. I think start to his United career. Been moved around a little bit, injuries, the rest of it. Should we be giving him more time? Our United fans been a bit impatient.
Another name. So we've been talking about names. We're talking about anonymous people, genuine anonymous people.
No, okay. Not our left back.
No, not our left back, Rojo. Have a guess. A player that we've not mentioned yet. We've mentioned quite a few. Someone that we've not seen much of this season. Not seen any of this season. He's on the bench.
Go on, I'll let you.
Ashley Young.
Ashley Young. Well, what is the comment? It's just Ashley Young? Question mark.
Ashley Young.
He is a fringe player.
Ashley Young. So it's AHR Skiller says Ashley Young needs minutes. Would you like to see him on?
I wouldn't be against that idea at some point, I suppose. If we're going to give fringe players a chance, why not? No, cool. I mean, think of Ashley Young. He's another player that everyone loves to hate.
Sports reporting, you must have.
Well, I think Ashley Young is a little bit underrated in many ways because he gets so much stick that. He does get a lot of stick, and I don't think he's that bad.
Sack Mourinho.
Please sack Mourinho. Right, is this people taking a mick now, hacking it? Emre Can is a better player than Pogba. Please sack Mourinho. Marcus Rojo has been anonymous. Yeah. Ashley Young, again, good squad player. Would I be looking to bring him in a game like this? Probably not. I think he's someone that you'd have as cover if you get injuries. And when I say injuries, I mean 6 or 7 injuries, probably.
There's been a lot of hate for Marcus Rojo, and I hate to bring it back up again, but I would sooner see Ashley Young, I think, at left back. I think he'd be better left back cover for Luke Shaw, in my opinion, than Marcus Rojo. Possibly,
again, but he's not a defender, and he's not left-footed as well. So again, it's a difficult one. I think that obviously Mourinho's not giving up on Rojo, so we'll have to wait and see. He's being given a chance. Can he prove his doubters wrong? Can he show us why Louis van Gaal paid all that money for him? It remains to be seen.
Let's just talk quickly before the second half starts again. Starts. That first half, I mean, it's 0-0 for anyone that isn't watching the game and is just watching us. It's not been the best first half, I wouldn't say, but it's away from home. It's in Europe. I know it's the Europa League, but we're away from home. They're a reasonable side, Feyenoord. They're not poor, you wouldn't say, average. And I just think we've struggled to break them down. They've had a few opportunities, a few whip balls in, but they've been loose. Nothing more than that. De Gea's not really had much to do. Martial had an effort, I think. Can't really think of many other chances.
Yeah, there was the chance at the end that Matters couldn't quite get on the end of at the end of this first half. I think it's a pretty professional European performance. It's not going to get everyone excited. No one's ever going to get excited of a 0-0 at half time. But I wouldn't be panicking if I was Mourinho.
The big men there in Fellaini and Ibrahimovic not coming on, I don't think. Did he? That's a bit of a mismatch.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, when you see it there, I mean, I know Matt is small, but they are big lads, aren't they? And they could maybe cause a slightly different problem. I know Pogba's in the middle there, but get Ibra up front and do a little bit of what we did in the second half at weekend. Just put that diagonal ball over the top.
Yeah, it is an option. It's not an option I'd really like to see. I don't think we need to do that. I think it's a different.
Beautiful game.
No, but I think do we need to start pumping long balls up against Feyenoord? I think if we are going to make a change, I'd like to see Memphis being given a chance to run at defenders rather than seeing us pinging long balls on.
We talked about in the first 10 minutes.
Herrera with an effort there. That's take a deflection.
It's not bad. Don't think so.
No.
Effort from 40 yards. Just a bit of a sighter. Why not? I remember that. Was it the one that Ronaldo? Was it Porto that he scored against?
Yes.
I'm not saying Herrera's Ronaldo, but you never know, is what I'm saying. So the Europa League, we spoke about it in the first 10 minutes before, and we're just mentioning there maybe bringing Memphis on, not maybe bringing Zlatan on, who's the more experienced player. How do you approach the Europa League as a whole? I mean, I think that, as with any competition, you never go into it wanting to leave it early. I think it's a competition we want to win. Pep Guardiola's not won it, so that's a reason. We've not won it either, so it's another trophy to put in the cabinet. It's a tough slog. It's more games than the Champions League, but if we can build momentum in this, surely that's a positive for the Premier League as well. We got a tweet being pat. Is this readable?
Yeah.
Well, go on, what-
I retweeted though.
Okay. By the way, guys, just saw in the tweets, if you are dual screening and you're watching us, the magical minds, Jay and Anna, and you're also watching the game as well, tweet us a picture and send it into Full-Time Devils, at Full-Time Devils, and we'll get some retweets going as well. Show everyone that you're listening in and you're watching the game. And also, keep getting your comments in on YouTube as well. We'll read a few out, have a look through now, see what people are saying out in the first half.
I think it'll be a big ceremony if Jose brought on Ibra. How seriously he's taking it as well. There's been a
we look
few
very
questions
passive. Rashford looks isolated. I mean, I don't know. I just think it's not. We've just not had the best first half, to be honest. I wouldn't read too much into Rashford in the first half.
It's not quite been happening for him, has it?
No, but I mean,
this game.
I wouldn't say.
I know I'm not going to start sort of
isolated
throwing him under the
necessarily.
bus or panicking, but it's just
Final play,
you
some
know
nice
some
football
of our
in the
passing in
half.
the final third
Out
hasn't
onto that
been.
right hand side again. The man that everybody loves to hate, Dirk Kuyt. If that's even how you pronounce his name, how do you pronounce his name? Kuyt.
Yeah, it's one of those tricky ones, isn't it?
Good
Let's
save.
not start going down the road, which I know you're going down.
Oh, anywhere.
Hey, we're above all that.
Are we, Jay? Are we really? The comments suggest otherwise. Let's. There's no link-up play in the last third. I would agree with that actually. I think we've got the players to do it. I just don't think it's quite happened. Pogba is playing further forward, but they're closing down well.
2 new fullbacks putting the crosses in. New starter
So, but
with Rashford.
they are very compact, aren't they? They're sitting quite deep. It is on the break they're a little bit different, but it is a Hull all over again.
It's a difficult game for a lot of reasons as well for this, because you've got players who, aren't getting a lot of games, who desperate to prove themselves. You've got a different setup. You've got obviously different
great
team
move by
that's not
Rashford
played
there
together
on the
before.
left-hand
You're away from home against a
Rashford
useful
Rashford
side.
does
It's
look
not
like he's
easy.
moved over now to the left-hand side as well. And Martial is a little bit more down the middle, you would say there.
Rojo's got a chance there to cross that. He's
It's
opted to give it
on the edge of
Pogba.
the area at the minute.
No, he's going to
Some
get
quick
crowded
feet,
out
but
there.
Yeah, it's not quite.
Should have whipped that. He should have whipped that in there,
I mean,
Rojo.
he's good with
Dilly
his
down with.
feet, but you want him running at players, don't you? You don't really want him on the edge of the area trying to play the injury.
You don't as well. Things like that, you don't want him trying to do it all himself. You can see him there getting a little bit annoyed, and that's one thing I've seen him happen. I saw it happen for France quite a few times in the Euros, where he can try and maybe do a little bit too much, and you can understand that because he's got bags of skill and the ability he's got. When things aren't going well, he's obviously going to be tempted to try and change it, but. He does need to keep that discipline, and when he's got other options like he did then, he needs to look for them.
Do you think though, when you've not got an Ibrahimovic, there was a chance there. I mean, you mentioned it, Herrera, an opportunity to just whip the ball in, and didn't. Is that because Ibra's not in the side? Is it as worth cross? I mean, Martial's still reasonable with his head, surely enough to whip a ball in if the opportunity's there.
I think we got a player like Ibrahimovic in the box. You dare not cross it to him. I think.
True.
If you're a mere mortal. But yeah, definitely. I think that you're always going to be more tempted when you look up and see the likes of Ibrahimovic in the box than you are at Anthony Martial. But situations like that, you should be just getting out. I always like to see balls getting whipped in early, and especially when, final players are sort of rushing back. You don't want to give them that chance to get back.
Running from that halfway line.
Yeah.
But this is where the link-up play, I think, has to.
I think this has been a positive start though from United in this second half.
We're pressing them in, which I don't think we did enough of in that first half. They seem to have a lot more of the ball.
Well, Pogba there being a bit sloppy, but no, he's kept hold of it.
Just playing some decent football on the edge of the area.
Just going to throw this on the screen behind you. Can you talk about it? It's our blurred social.
See, I'm not sure. An effort from 50, 60 yards. I'm not entirely sure.
No, that's
Social
it's not going to happen, is it?
It gathers fan mood from Twitter. Look at the fan mood during the game there.
So we're looking at fan mood at the minute. So this is tweets, I believe, and the mood during the game. And it's kind of, pretty positive at the start. You can get more positive than that, could you? 98% or something at the beginning. It's kind of dropped down to, so what's that? Maybe 40, something like that. 45% positive at the minute. I don't know. I think that's natural, isn't it? You go into a game with something a bit, with a bit of optimism.
That's actually
tweets.
very positive.
Yeah, I mean, you guess what I'm saying.
To start with there, right?
yeah.
99% or whatever that is. That's a good start there. To be fair, I thought usually
Stretchy
a lot of United fans
Stretchy news
started.
there, reminding everyone of how subtle they are.
Yeah.
This has not been good so far from United. Very patchy, no fluency. Yeah, I mean, it's been a patchy first half, but you said it before. I mean, it's Europe. It's an away game. It's going to be tough. But that fun move's dropped quite a bit. It's a positive start though. 99% positivity.
Yeah. Nice. You know, imagine that'll go back up to 99% if Rojo comes off from the reactions we have.
2%, something like
that.
Yeah,
definitely.
We'll check that as well a little bit later on, maybe after the game.
That's good play from Damien there. He's getting forward.
It's nice out. Oh, lucky. I thought he just managed to shift that out to the right hand side as well. Do you know what? I think we suit a more open game.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, with Rashford, Martial, Pogba.
You've got players there that can counter.
Yeah, exactly. And if you've got Mata there who can pull the strings, and you've got willing runners, I think that's where we get opportunities. Maybe penning them in. You know, when we've not got Zlatan on, for example, might not be the best option.
No, definitely. And you think, like you mentioned earlier on, they're going to tire. You'd expect them to tire because you've got a young United side out there, a side that's used to playing at a higher level than Feyenoord are. So you would expect them to tire slightly. I know it is quite hot over there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a balancing act as well. You know, between I think in this kind of game away from home, you've got pacey players in the side, players that want to run and run on the last man, run out wide, find space. I think you want them to have more of the ball. But then the question is, are they good enough to really get behind you and leave you that space in behind?
Yeah.
That's the problem. If they keep it in the middle of the park, then we're the ones that are going to tire. So it's just trying to find that balancing act.
Seems to be a little frustration there with Rashford as well. He's pointing to that man. We've seen Pogba there giving himself a slap in the face earlier on. Few little sort of little bit of moodiness creeping in there, getting a little bit angry. Which,
if it's anything like
the
positivity meter,
maybe we can have an angry meter for the players. Yeah,
starts at 0% and ends.
But yeah, there you see Rashford again. He doesn't look happy with that challenge.
Look at some of the comments as well, guys. I mean, it's getting up to that time now. It's 53 minutes. We've nearly had 10 minutes of the second half. What changes would you make?
He's giving me almost a clip round the ear hole there.
We'll have a chat through. So let's have a look at a few of the comments. Again, a few LVG all over again. It's going to take time. I mean,
I think that's just going to be like that's the go-to tweet or the go-to comment in it. If it's 0-0, it's just LVG.
Sunshine and Roses under Fergie, was it? Sunshine and Roses.
No, I think that many a European away, you sort of struggle to break them down, or it take a little while. First group game as well. I don't think there's any sort of need to start panicking just yet, and I don't think this is LVG-esque. I wouldn't say so anyway. It's great. It's true United haven't been fluent, and they need to sort of find a better pass in the final third. But it's not been that disappointing that I start comparing it to LVG.
I mean, this is high praise. Rashford is better than Eusebio, Puskas, Zico, and Di Stefano.
I think that's
but I mean,
accurate.
Based on your statement before, that is quite an accurate. I mean, that's high praise. But he's got it in his locker. See what else we've got comments wise.
There you go. There's the feeling.
What's this? Anger.
43.15%. Wow.
Love.
Quarter of people are happy. Why sad? What's to be sad about? I'm not entirely sure what. I can understand love, happy, and anger, but sad. Really? But yeah, again, let us know what you think. Are you? Which one of these are you? All I want is one word. Maybe even a smiley face.
And why, if he's sad, tell us why he's sad as well. I'm a bit curious about that. Maybe we can help you. Maybe it's something a bit more.
Go to the website FullTimeDEVILS.com to see more of this.
So we've got all this kind of stuff, guys. We showed you the reaction meter. We've shown you whether you're angry, happy, sad, loving, maybe. If you go to FullTimeDEVILS.com, we've got more of that kind of stuff for you as well. So take a little look. We'll keep pulling a few things up for you as well, maybe later in the game, see how the moods change depending on the result. But take a look, FullTimeDEVILS.com. Also check out the Twitter again if you're watching us and watching the football as well. Take a picture of your dual screening We might retweet a few as well. So
When
let us know.
when do you think he's going to make changes? It's that, as you mentioned earlier, 10 minutes into the second half.
Before, I'm not entirely sure now's the time to worry. A draw away from home. I don't want a draw away from home. I prefer the win, but it's not a poor result. Making too many rash changes, I'm not entirely sure is the best idea right now. 60 minutes is normally the mark to maybe make one change, just try and inject a little bit of energy into the game. Whether that is a Memphis, whether it's providing a focal point like a Zlatan. But again, guys, let us know what changes you'd make. See what people are saying. So,
is that not a free kick there on one matter? I thought that was, but it doesn't seem to have given it.
I didn't see that. Let's see if there's a replay of it.
Thing with Mourinho as well, a lot of the time with his changes, he doesn't like to swap like for like. He likes to mix it up.
Change the formation.
He doesn't like to just bring off a tricky winger and put another tricky winger on. He'll like to bring off, say, a winger and put a bit of a barnstorming centre forward or whatever.
Schneidlin off and bringing Memphis in.
Right, yeah, that makes
changing it up a little bit. But I mean,
I don't know if he'd do that away from home.
And then how do you sit
in Europe? Yeah, would he risk taking off
Martial, Rashford, Memphis,
a defensive player for an attacking one?
Pogba was in there again, so he can't play quite as advanced.
I don't think that's in his DNA.
I'd just like to see. I mean, I've got to say, the marking Pogba very well, and he's not got that space maybe that you would hope for. But I'd like to see a bit more from him.
See the top words about Marcus Rojo.
Okay, so Argentinian Paralympics is what people are saying about Marcus Rojo. We've got Marcus Rojo is okay. That was a long time ago, and he's since shown that he's not quality enough for the red shirt of Manchester United, in my humble opinion. Argentinian Paralympics. I think that sums that up. So who are we talking about here? Morgan Schneidlin. The feeling. It's only 2.7% of people are avidly not happy with.
Don't think. Hang on, United almost in there. Good tackle there. Rashford getting in there.
Make sure you have a little look. See what people are saying about Memphis. I don't know. It can be particularly negative about Memphis. He's not had an opportunity.
Is that people that are angry that he's not in the starting lineup, perhaps?
The best one for me, Argentinian Paralympics. Let us know what you think of Marcus Rojo. Let us know. I mean, enough people have told us already.
Jermaine Jennings.
Why?
Marcus Rashford, Jermaine Jennings. Not at all in any way, shape or form. Can you compare Marcus Rashford to Jermaine Jennings?
Oh wow.
Phil Jones.
No one happy.
Oh dear.
We've got no one happy.
Knee ligaments. And no one happy.
Not one. He's another one. I mean,
United's greatest ever player, according to Sir Alex, and who are we to argue?
I mean, injuries are just a problem for him. Stunning scenery. That's much better than the football.
I think it's more than just injuries with Phil Jones, if I'm honest. I'm not.
You think not
the intelligence and football, just judgment.
When he headed the ball line on the floor.
Yeah, things like that, and we look back and we laugh at it, but you do think is that.
But I mean, this is the thing. I mean,
the mark of a Manchester United player. Has he progressed? You look at him at Blackburn. Is he better now, or was he better recently than he was at Blackburn? I don't think he is.
We said before that Bailly's come in and had a really good start to the season. He seems to have shaken that knock that he had before as well. So he's come in and had a good start. We know that Smalling and Blint are the other two centre backs that are vying for those positions.
He's never going to score from there.
Where does that next centre back come from? Is it a Fosu Mensah, or do you still count Phil Jones as that option when he's fit, or do you just not think he's good enough even if he is fit?
Personally, I just don't think he's got it in him anymore. I think there was a time when Phil Jones, when he was at Blackburn, when he came into the United side, that he showed you what he could do, and he was touted as a future leader, a future captain, a future England captain. People were saying, they were comparing him to John Terry and all the rest of it. And you expected him at some point to kick on. Oh, it looks like Zlatan's coming on. Be interesting to see who makes way.
It's a tough one, to be honest, because do you take out one of them central midfielders and put someone, drop Pogba deeper, or do you take off a Martial and Rashford, even Mata possibly?
Yeah, I think you could say. Yeah, you could maybe take out Mata and then.
Pogba's been very well marked at the minute.
He is, But again, that's something that you look at him, you're thinking,
A pass, Jay.
there you go. That should hopefully get people happy now. Like, less angry about him, less Argentinian Paralympics and all the rest of that.
That is the quote.
Yeah, I don't know. I think with Zlatan, if you perhaps take off a Mata, maybe put probably a little bit deeper, have your three as Rashford, Zlatan and Martial.
Is someone else?
Oh, Young,
well?
the forgotten man, is coming back.
The anonymous man.
Yeah. Oh, and Memphis. Is it a triple substitution here then? So it's all happening.
So you know, I said that you might make one cagey change around 60 minutes. Don't ever listen to me.
Or he might leave it. I think he said he might leave it and just give him a chance.
Yeah, maybe.
There you go. That's how accurate we are. He's
change.
he's done that in the past, hasn't he, Mourinho? He's like
So
gone for
Memphis Young
triple
and Zlatan,
substitutions.
which is
Pogba there with an effort.
it's not a bad effort. And again, he's hit a few of those.
Yeah.
Frustration, or do you think that's just something that's in his locker? Do you think he's always going to go for those?
I think there is a little bit of frustration there. We saw before he was slapping himself in the face, and it's obviously not a good sign. I think in any situation, if you're slapping yourself in the face, something's going a bit amiss. It's a little bit of frustration. Shooting from that far out, it's going to take something special.
Slapping myself in the face.
Well,
making an assumption that Mourinho would make one change at 60 minutes.
But well, yeah.
But
So Rashford's coming off, I think.
So
Didn't really happen for him tonight, Marcus Rashford, did it?
No,
Didn't quite come off.
It's a lot of pressure on him though. I mean, we've all been caught. I don't think there's many United fans haven't called for him to start, and I just think it's been a tough game.
Yeah, it has.
Everyone's really got into the game. So Rashford, Martial are coming off, and Zlatan and Memphis have come on so far. And then is it going to be Argentinian Paralympics for Ashley Young? No,
Juan Mata.
Where does that? Where do you play Young then? Is he going to be out wide? Memphis the other side.
Yeah,
Zlatan
possibly.
up top.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, you're going to have Zlatan up top. It'll just be interesting to see
I mean, those are changes feasibly.
how Memphis and Young going to get a bit of chalk on the boots and go a bit wider than the likes of Martial and Rashford were.
I mean, does this now mean that we are just going to play a few more, long punted diagonals towards the main man?
Well, I'm looking at it now and I'm thinking, can we see Memphis sort of getting to that byline? Can we see him getting down the wing?
I think the other thing is,
maybe getting and whipping in across.
Zlatan at weekend, as much as he scored the goal, I don't think he held the ball up as well as we know he can. And it was an off game. I don't think it's nothing to worry about particularly. But maybe that's what we need to see from him. Just hold that ball up a little bit more and then get them runners beyond him.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, I think if you're going to be holding the ball up, you'd like to see Rashford and Martial alongside him because he can hold it up for them and they can sort of cut in. But saying that, with the likes of Pogba pushing forward, yeah, and Memphis can also cut in as well.
What do you make of the changes, by the way, guys? Get your comments in below. Let us know what you think about the triple change and how you'd even line them up.
It is getting a little bit frustrating, some United's passing, I'll be honest.
Well, that was, this has been I think this is the LVG. You said before that LVG is kind of like the stock phrase now. When there's a bit of possession football and it's not going too great. There's nothing wrong with just keeping the ball for a little bit, and just stabilising the game. And I think we've been so concerned about not falling into that Louis van Gaal trap that we've forgotten that 5-10 minutes of solid possession can really wear a team down. Ashley Young out on the right hand side. He looks energetic though. He looks like he's got some liveliness about him. Whip ball, it's a looping ball in really.
There's last on there. Oh, Memphis. I think it's a foul on the defender.
Memphis with a swivel just there, trying to hook that into the bottom corner. But that's what Zlatan gives you. He makes a nothing ball into something. Just looping over the top, and he's just jumping over the back of the defender. That would have been a great chance for Memphis as well.
But then again, he's come on already. He's put himself about. See a different approach from United. Maybe we can see a few more chances like that. Because certainly, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but there wasn't a lot happening, was there, in the first hour?
So we've got comments flooding in right now. We're not playing fast. I mean, this isn't about the changes necessarily, but it might link into some of the changes. We're not playing fast enough to the last third, letting opposition gather numbers. I'd agree, but they're not really giving us that much space either. So I think that's pretty tough. See, Memphis waking up from his slumber. Let's hope so. Serious question. Are United as good as everyone was making out at the beginning of the season?
That is a tough question, and it's probably a bit too soon to tell because again, you know, we were talking about the likes of Bournemouth and Southampton not being that tough a test. City obviously was. How tough a test is Feyenoord? Really, you know, it's not. It's not going to prove that United are suddenly great. Yeah, I mean, it's tricky. I always think it falls into the tricky category. A European tie away from home against a side that, you know, does well in their league but isn't in the strongest league. So it's too soon to tell whether United are as good as many people thought they were. But I think that, you know, you have to take into consideration the amount of changes that have gone on as well.
I mean, we're 66 minutes, still nil. There's still a long
What's
time
this?
in the game. There's still enough time.
Yes.
So
Top words at the moment.
Top words at the moment.
Louis van Gaal, life under.
There's no escape from Louis van Gaal.
We've written him off now as an asset. It's been 8 million or something that we've paid to let him go. And
you with this financial report, I tell you what.
Do you know what, it just, I like to feel intelligent, Jay.
Fair enough. You've done your homework. I can't knock it. You've done your research.
I think deep down, I think you just, you know, I mean, Manchester Sports Report.
I know. I should be. I just saw the 500 million or whatever it was.
I mean, the love has gone down. Disgust is up to 11%. Anger 60%. It's a lot of angry people. Tell us why you're angry, folks. I mean, it's not been great, but I'm not entirely sure angry is the right word, or even the right emotion right now. Just although 20% of people are happy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just as
8%. Yeah, this doesn't really give you a clear picture of this, to be honest with you. It's slightly flawed if I'm going to nitpick. But
have we got a positivity meter again, Howson? So we'll have a look at full time.
Pogba there, almost going through. I think that's going to be a free kick.
So
it's a bit frustrating. I think there you go. That is the word. Is that word I was going to use?
Confidence, though. You know, this is the side now till the end of the game. You know, you're not going to be brought off. You know, so I think now's the chance to prove yourself. You've got 20 minutes, just over with extra time or, you know, injury time. You can commit yourself to the game now. I think, you know, you're not coming off. By the way, guys, if you've got anything to say, if you've got any questions for us, if you've got something that you want to talk about, get yourself on Skype at FTDEVILS, I believe. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. On Skype. And get yourselves calling in. Have a chat to us, talk about the game, tell us if you don't like us, tell us if you don't like the starting 11, the changes, whatever it is, even if it's just life advice, I don't know. You might need someone to talk to. And also, guys, if you are dual screening, make sure you get your tweets into @FullTimeDEVILS on Twitter, and we'll get some retweets going as well. Show everyone that you're listening to the great minds. Oh, me and Jay. I'm going to keep saying it. People might start believing
like proper enough radio DJ.
It is, yeah.
Hey, let's rock.
And the buffet is no. So we've got Thursday nights just aren't the same. Well, I think that's a given, but we've got them. Got to deal with them. Got to enjoy them some way, I suppose. Let's see what other people are saying. There's a lot of angry people, Jay.
It's frustrating. I mean, it's, you know, you want to see side going out there, making a statement, bouncing back from the derby as we mentioned earlier on, and this isn't really been that game. It's been a little bit frustrating, but I think you have to take into consideration all the mitigating circumstances. It's away from home against you know, a European side.
A tricky side.
A tricky side. I think you know, it's quite humid over there, and it's not something that it's not a climate that the players are probably used to by and large. So yeah, it's one of them, and it's not over yet. There's still 20 minutes to go, and we said we expected Feyenoord to tire slightly. So I'm not going to panic too much. We've got some.
We're going to put something on the screen. We're not going to do right now. We might get it to you in a second. No. So you are stuck with this here image. I mean, it's just we've just seen Smalling there. You know, halfway inside our area. Just not really sure where to play the ball. The space just isn't there. They're sat very deep. Just struggling to break them down at the minute. Do you think? I mean. Is this a game you think Feyenoord would be happy with a draw at home? Is that part of the problem?
I don't think they would. I think this is a game that they'd wanted or expected to try and win. I think they'll want to win it, obviously, but I think they'll look at it as one they should be winning at home. I know it's against the strongest side in the group, but you want to win your home games.
Okay, so total number of tweets about Marcus Rashford compared to Anthony Martial. It's been a lot more about Martial, to be honest, nearly double actually. The thing is whether they're positive or negative. That's the big question. I mean, do you think? I mean, again, guys, get it in the comments. What do you think about Rashford and Martial tonight? Do you think it was just an off game? It was the wrong game, maybe? Would you still start them against Watford? I mean, I know we've not finished this game yet. Still 20 minutes to go, but the next game's on Sunday against Watford. We've got to start thinking about that at least, and who's going to start. Do they get in the side again? Would you start with a similar 11? Does Rooney fall back in the side? Do you think we've missed Wayne Rooney? That's a big question. I mean, I know I've given my opinion quite strongly on Wayne Rooney. But
what is your opinion on Wayne Rooney, Sweeney?
In case you didn't know,
do you rate him?
I would have him in every. No, look, I think there's a place for him. I've said it before. Do you think we've missed him tonight?
This is the thing, though. You look at it, and other players that are probably going to make their case,
2 assists in his first,
that are going to make their case that they should be starting ahead of him, haven't really.
Memphis on the ball as well.
Haven't really,
Nearly
you know.
lost it, but he's kept it.
Is that offside? Yeah, he's offside there, Ashley Young.
That's better though. I think that's a better ball, you know, for Paul Pogba rather than trying to, you know, shoot from 60 yards. You know, that ball over the top gets Zlatan running off. You know, something might happen. I just think we need to change it up a little bit. You know, we've tried this passive approach. It's definitely offside though there.
Yeah, definitely.
It's over. Just needs to open up. Game's just maybe as you say, if Feyenoord don't want that draw and they want to go out, you know, for the win, maybe the game might open up in the last 15-20 minutes. Maybe that one chance we might get. Someone's going to finish off.
We've definitely got an answer of how seriously Mourinho's taking it. I think the triple substitution, bringing on Zlatan.
Positive substitution.
Yeah, he's going for it, isn't he? Which is what you always want to see from United manager.
That's what you want from Paul Pogba.
There, that was better.
Keeping the ball, turning, playing the ball off again. I thought that was offside there, but it's not.
This is a chance there, Zlatan.
Ball in as well.
Oh.
Zlatan with flying limbs.
Yes, just didn't quite come off.
It's a ball over the top again though for Feyenoord. And they're creating a few chances. It's just becoming a little bit more. It's a good effort as well.
I think, yeah.
Just outside the box.
I think
De Gea's going to get.
De Gea had that covered, didn't he?
So have a look at a few more of your comments, guys. Again, if you want to call in, if you've got anything to talk about, you want to ask us a few questions, maybe even you're just bored of the game, possibly, and you want something else to do. Full FTDEVILS, sorry, on Skype and at FullTimeDEVILS on Twitter as well. If you've got any pictures or you've got any comments, you know, tweet us, let us know what you're thinking. Would you have made the same changes as Jose Mourinho's made? Would they have been a positive? No doubt they would, but would they have been the same personnel? It's the big question. We're just finding a little bit more space now on the ball. I think Zlatan's dropping deeper as well. A little bit deeper.
He is. He's very deep.
That's a foul.
That's got to be a foul there on Ashley Young.
It's been clattered there. Young's been positive, actually, I think. In this,
he has. He's done okay since he's come on. Just hope he's not injured, otherwise it started 10 men. See
what, again, people are saying. Those hating Rashford are disgusting. I would agree 100% with that. This season I'm angry because if we don't qualify in the first 4 fixtures, we will gamble on players later on. I see what he means. I mean, you know, if we start to struggle in the first few games of the Europa League, you know, how seriously do you take it then? Do you then start and feel, you know, start
putting your strongest side out because you need to get the wins? It's a good point, but again, it's, you know, we're 75 minutes into it. It's
good ball in that as well.
That's a
good chance. Was that Zlatan on the end of that as well? From Ashley Young.
If it had been on.
When was the last time you said that?
Yes,
oh, he spooned that one on it, to be fair. Nice.
Well, it was a decent defensive header as well.
Yeah.
That's the type of ball. Ashley Young harking back to his Aston Villa days.
That's
nice
the glory time. But again, you know,
back before
a good squad player, which is what we were talking about before. And
he is a good
if you can't come into a game like this and at least give the manager something to think about, then you're probably doing something wrong. So
there does seem to be. I mean, after them changes, there is a bit more energy, and I don't know what it is because, you know, I just think there's an impetus now. Maybe it's the fact that it's late on in the game. Things have changed. Feyenoord have got a fair bit of luck down this right hand side though. Is that a corner now as well? No, goal kick. Again, let's see what people are saying. So, if we can get the comments up, that'd be useful. The reason we were angry is because we need to play 4-3-3 in the Prem and drop Rooney ASAP. I mean, it's that Rooney debate again. When he's not in, it doesn't quite work. But then
you can't see that. I can't see after tonight. I don't think that there's any chance of that happening.
Well, that was. I mean, I kind of expected maybe Memphis out.
Oh, he should have played him in then. I think he would have played it through his last time there, Memphis. This, I think. Oh,
I think we might have.
Macca's going to be on.
Someone coming in. So we're looking at a lot of heads there. I mean, where would you say they are on that
a bit difficult to tell. There doesn't seem to be a lot of reaction going on there, but completely honest. We've got a delay here or something. Sounds like Feyenoord have scored. I don't know what is going on.
What's going on here, guys?
So other than the fact we can't tell you what the score is at the moment,
as it stands,
we're on the ball here.
But
there was a lot of cheering then. It seems to be from the Feyenoord fans when we went to Macca. But then how bad is the delay? I don't think there's that much of a delay. I don't know what that was about, to be honest with you.
See, I'm massively confused. But here we go. This is a bit of a chance for Feyenoord now on the right hand side. Whip ball in.
Oh yeah, it is. It's the goal. There you go. You see.
It's an easy goal. It's an easy
goal. Deary me.
78 minutes. Made all the change we can. That was what the noise was coming from as well. I mean, that's a tough one to swallow, that, isn't it?
It is. And to be honest with you, I know you talk about that right hand side. A little bit of an issue there, but I didn't honestly see them scoring. I thought it was either going to be a United win or a draw.
That was a little bit similar though to that ball across the box in the first half, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know where the lad spooned it in the end, but just I don't know that.
It's not.
Is it? I'm not saying it's Rojo necessarily, but that right hand side has been something that they've managed to target pretty well. Smalling's well out of position there though. Essentially left back.
Oh, he's all alone in it. The lad when he comes in at the end there.
There's not a lot De Gea's ever going to be able to do about that. Ball across the box, probably in line with the penalty spot, and he's just slotted it away. And
I think Louis van Gaal's going to be trending again somehow.
I think so. Argentinian Paralympics might be back up as well.
Oh dear.
Get your comments in, guys. If you can keep them as clean as possible, as tough as that may be. I mean, there's no choice now. You know, the game's not going to fall out in a peter out to a 0-0 draw. So there's something has got to happen. We've got enough time. Decent ball.
Oh, there you go. Is that no? He's got the ball there. I think Rojo looks like he's hurt himself there going in for that one.
It's a chance though. I mean, Rojo was very close. I mean, he's made a Paralympian out of someone else there by the looks of it.
I don't know how serious that injury is to Rojo.
I think Rojo looks all right actually. I think it's the Feyenoord player that's down.
Oh, is it? Oh no, there, yeah. Well, he's not.
Onto the hip.
We've not got any other options if he is injured. I think he'll be all right.
The keeper probably did get them. In fairness, he ended up studding the keeper in the chest. That's a sore one for the keeper as well. This goal again. I mean, they're showing a replay of the goal, and he was offside. Final player was offside there.
Oh.
It's a poor decision. It's just an easy finish. That is painful. That is painful. The Fellaini lookalike scored again.
Not good enough though, is it really? To be honest with you. I mean, we've made a lot of excuses about the teams changing and all the rest of it, but you look at the quality United have still put out on the
Come back
pitch
to
tonight,
that, come back to
you'd
that, Jay. I
expect
think that right-hand side is a problem.
a result.
Their right-hand side, our left-hand side.
Well, there's a talk earlier on, wasn't there? People were saying that Darmian should have been shifted over.
Let's see what
Pogba here now.
said that should have been a penalty. Definitely offside as well. 100% offside. It's just a lot of very unhappy people.
I wonder, yeah.
How are people saying we're going to win the league and we're struggling against this team?
Now you can see anger is up to 6. Oh, this is about Rojo.
Fear? What's
Fear.
the fear all about?
He's striking fear into the fans.
Is that his anonymous?
That's not. That's not what you expect.
Disgust at 5%. Probably the disgust should be maybe higher. Anger though, 67%. Sad. Maybe a few Argentinians out there hoping he'd do a better job. Ashley Young's looking lively, but he's giving the ball away again on the edge of the area. Getting it in early enough. Again, guys, if you want to start looking at some of the reaction stuff, get yourself to FullTimeDEVILS.com. Have a look. All kinds of reaction on there. You can see what people are saying about each of the individual players. Positive.
Oh, there's ball whips in.
As well. It's a decent strike by Memphis, actually, with his left foot. It's gone out for a corner.
I know.
Fellaini look-alike.
And we can't even get our own Fellaini on now to save the day.
3 change. I mean, the positive changes though. We should be winning this game. Should be at least getting a draw from this game. 1-0.
Yeah, you know, I thought a 0-0 wasn't the end of the world, and don't get me wrong, a 1-0 isn't. Losing isn't, but it's very disappointing, especially. Don't want to keep harking on about it, but especially after the.
Don't even mention it. Don't even say that word. Don't even say it. Good. Ball in. It's just easily headed away. This is getting a little bit painful, to be honest. They're breaking pretty well.
Oh dear. Memphis did well there, to be fair. I think that was his challenge that won the ball back.
Game's opening up. I mean, at least they're not, you know, setting the stall out now to defend a 1-0 lead. They're still going to try and go for the 2-0, which just leaves a little bit of space.
This is getting more frustrating. Yeah. The problem is now people start snatching at things.
Yeah.
People start trying to do.
Enough time.
Yeah.
You know, we've still got, plus injury time, we've still got 10 minutes. Enough time to get something out of this game. It's not something I'd hope for, just getting something out of the game, but. Again, let's have a look at some of your comments, guys. They're not going to be very happy. I get that. We can't make any more changes either. So can't really talk about that. But could we have done anything different, or is it just one of those games? What could Jose maybe have done different? Let us know. Yeah, it's not. You know, Pogba needs to pick the ball up and do a little bit better.
The trouble, you just wonder how much can you gain, how much can you get from this game in terms of sort of analysing the team, because it has been a makeshift team. And yeah, you think,
but
well,
is it makeshift though? I mean, it's been a
change side, but the likes of Darmian coming in, the likes of Rojo coming in, you know, it's. I'm not trying to make excuses, because I always think United should be beating Feyenoord no matter who you put out, but it's not as though you've gone out there with your strongest possible side. You've made a lot of changes. Players who haven't played together before, got to get used to it. So you just wonder how much can you actually garner from this game. It's difficult. It's difficult to tell.
It's the wrong. Just managed to pick. Is that?
It's done well there, Pogba, to keep that in. No.
Small in there, the nosebleed up in their 18-yard box. I'll tell you what, them Feyenoord fans, given that they're 1-0 up, not very happy. To be honest, some pretty depressed Feyenoord fans. That's all about.
I know.
I've not really got a lot to say, to be honest, Jay. I'm sure
well, there's 5 minutes left. Listen, United have been in stickier situations than 1-0 away. That 1-0 down to Feyenoord with 5 minutes to go. I'm sure there's going to be another twist in the tail just yet.
United against Hull, didn't we? You know, there's still goals at the end of games.
I think it's just been a bit of a frustrating evening all round, especially when you look at the likes of Rashford starting. That is something that a lot of fans wanted, and it's not really happened. Not really happened for him. Him and Marshall playing together. Nothing really came of that, if we're being completely honest. Small in there, in the box. Ashley Young. No, not quite happening. So yeah, frustrating evening, and I do feel for the fans that have gone over there as well. If it stays like this, because you know you've made that journey and you expect to see a bit more.
Small in there with the pirouette. It's just Ashley Young there with a good chance, and he's just spooned it over the bar, showing the goal again. He's definitely offside there. Played it across. It's just an easy finish.
Who's your blame there, Sweeney? If you got to point a finger at United player, who you pointing your finger at? Should Herrera have been picking him up?
Possibly, but again, I think there's two people. I think we've not been strong enough at left back. You know, I know we keep coming back to it. I know we do, but
Rojo.
I don't think we've been strong enough at left back with Rojo. And then someone's got to be picking that, you know, that lad up.
Yeah.
He's got an easy run there, straight into the 18-yard box, and a simple finish.
That's all everyone's saying.
So all that anybody's talking about at the minute is dirt cow. So
what are the feelings? Is this the feelings about
right now?
Right now.
His feelings in general. Anger's come down.
Happy.
Has the happiness gone up?
I'm guessing
I'm amused.
that's not United fans being happy.
Oh, maybe not. Pogba picking
Right, yeah.
It's a foul. It's got to be a foul.
He's not giving a foul. I'm surprised there. I thought that was a Stonewall free kick.
Pogba picking the ball up from deep, driving forward. He's just managed to nick it away from the defender.
I think it's all been a bit too much for that man to take there. He's crying into his shirt there.
Crying into
with
his shirt.
The Milky Bar kid next to him.
He's massively struggling.
Yeah. Fair play to him.
What are the fans saying? That last one is a true test of what we're all thinking.
Isn't that has many meanings there, actually, yeah.
Horse spunk is not something I thought we'd see as the trending topic.
I think that's Rocker Gibraltar tackle, isn't it? If we're going to look deeper than that.
Beyond savable, someone says. Now that is not United. Beyond savable is not true.
People pretend.
I don't know what that means.
No.
Professional footballer, you can only be talking about one man, and that is Argentinian Paralympics. It's an interesting combination. Got a whip ball in deep and it's poor. It's just another wasted opportunity as well.
It's been poor. It's been frustrating.
It can only be a draw now, can't it? Can you see us? I mean,
believe. I think is the hashtag.
In terms of if we're going to pull back,
get Solskjaer and Sheringham on, and you never know. There's a twist in the tail. Yeah.
You show your age.
Get Carlos Sartori on. I think the best I think you'd expect is a draw. Even that's not that great a result, but it's okay. But the way the game has gone tonight, I don't expect that to happen.
When you think of this game against Feyenoord, do you think horse spunk?
Horse spunk? Not the first thing that springs to mind, if I'm completely honest. But it's not been a great game from a United point of view at all. I think the players that you wanted to step up didn't really do anything.
It's been a
and Rojo, the one player who's been lambasted by everyone, is the one player again who's having the finger pointed at him.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've been critical of him today. I've been critical of him in general, but it's not just been him. It's been a tough game. I mean, is there one player, or maybe one or two players that you would pinpoint that are, I wouldn't say at fault, but you would have expected a lot more from today?
I don't think Rashford had his best game, if I'm honest, and I know there's a lot of expectation there. Just didn't quite happen for him, and his passing wasn't as crisp as usual, and he didn't seem to quite get going. Martial, I thought, looked bright at times. He went past a few players, but he was a bit too deep. He seemed to be going past players just in their half. Mata not really influenced the game.
Good ball in from Young again.
There's
swinging at him.
Fingers are going to be pointed at Pogba again as well, aren't they?
Herrera there doing pretty well. Rojo.
That's got to be a free kick.
And it is. What is that? Maybe 35 yards out. Something like that.
I think, yeah. Zlatan maybe fancy it.
3 minutes of added time as well. There's not much. It's a definite foul, isn't it? The man that everyone hates.
Which one? Rojo or Kuip?
Or Dirk Kuyt. Who do you dislike most, Marcus Rojo or Dirk Kuyt? Now, I mean, scathing of Rojo, but
it's
only one.
The sad thing is, from a United point of view of all this is, and I don't mean to keep going on about the derby, but you wanted United to bounce back. Hasn't really happened. You talk about sort of where United are at, and you look at City, they've had that result. Then they have in Europe, they're going, you know, sort of sweeping everyone aside. You want to see that from United. You want to see more from United. And you'd have looked at it and thought, Feyenoord away, it's a winnable game, even with the fringe players coming in, the likes of Rashford, Martial. Of course, you can win that game. And it's just not been a great performance at all. It's not been, you know, there's been very few positives. What positives can you take from this game tonight? In all honesty, what have you said? Oh well, the one plus point is.
I think that's what
I'm struggling.
I'm struggling more with. I can't really say what's been wrong. You know,
what's been wrong?
You know, this. I don't think anyone's particularly stood out. You know, I think Herrera's had an okay game actually. You know, picking the ball up in deep areas, but we've not managed to do anything with it. You know, and is it the pace of the game? Are we playing too slow? Are we not linking up well enough in that?
Just didn't really seem to be any sort of cohesion, did there? You'd have one or two sort of moments of individuals trying to take it on, but it didn't really play as a team. You know, it looks very disjointed.
It's not where you want Zlatan though, is it? You
exactly.
know, near the halfway line from a throw-in when you've got 90 seconds left of a game. Eric Bailly there, throwing himself in. Final, we've got a chance for a second. No, not quite.
Is that going to be a goal kick?
Corner or goal kick? I think it's a goal kick.
Very,
1 minute left.
Very
Can
disappointing.
we salvage anything from the game?
It's just going to have to pump it forward.
Guys, if you want to talk to us as well after the game.
Ashley Young,
at FTDEVILS on Skype, if you've got anything to say.
Cross it in there.
It's a deep cross.
No, there's no one there.
Again, just the crossing's not quite been there, has it either?
Oh, he's in there.
Oh, it's a great
tackle there from the lad there. He's done well.
I think Herrera's been the positive. You said, has there been a positive? I think he's maybe not as good as we can, you know.
I think that's it. I think that's
okay,
it. To be honest with you guys,
De Gea's going up, and that would be it.
It's not happening.
So I feel love there with a scarf around the mouth, biting lip. That's a horrible corner. Oh, hello. Eric Bailly with a header from deep though.
That's over. It's all over. Disappointing. Not really good enough. Never really got going.
Guys, we're struggling, to be honest, to pinpoint what's wrong. Get your comments in. Let us know what you think was wrong today. Was it a personnel thing? Did we not just turn up? Is it because it's the Europa League? You know, is the energy there in the Europa League? Is the mentality right for it? I mean, Jose said, you know, in the week, it wasn't very convincing, was he? You know,
you know, we're going to take this game serious or whatever he said, but for a club like Manchester United, this isn't the most important competition. I'm paraphrasing there, but that's roughly what the gist of what he was saying. But as I said before the game, no matter what team you put out in whatever competition, you expect them to want to win. And you look at that starting 11. I didn't look at that starting 11 and find any fault with it.
No,
I thought it gave the fringe players the opportunity that they've been wanting. I thought there was enough quality in there to go out and win the game. I didn't think he gambled too much, and I think it's raised a few questions about the strength of our squad. Are we overrating the strength of United's squad? Because we were talking before the game I was about how there was it was a really strong squad and it was like 20 players that could easily come in and out of the team, and now you think, well, is that the case? Are we kidding ourselves?
With two central defensive midfielders, someone says. Care J says, what we're doing with the two. Was it negative?
That's very Van Gaal-like, if we're honest. But
negative though. Yeah. You know, I wouldn't say. I mean, Herrera's maybe a holding player, but it's not as though he's not dynamic. You know, he can get forward. There's something about him. I wouldn't. You're not playing a character.
I just wonder, and again, I don't want to make too many excuses because I looked at that team and I thought we had enough quality to win. I just wonder how much of an effect does it have taking out Shaw and Valencia to the way we've been playing this season as well, because they get forward a hell of a lot. And Darmian was okay, Rojo not so great. Did they get forward as much? Not at all, as you would get from Shaw and Valencia. So,
I mean, someone's just said here, how many of our squad would get into a top 3 European squad? Now, I don't know what
squad.
Yeah, I mean, that's how many of our squad would get into a top European squad. I mean, let's change it. How many of our squad would get into, say, a top European 11? And I don't know what people are basing the top European 11. Are we talking the Barcelonas maybe? You know, does anyone get into a Real Madrid, a Barcelona, a Bayern Munich?
From our squad, I think you could look at the likes of De Gea, Pogba, Luke Shaw, I think he's a fantastic left back. I really believe that. I think when he's on form, he's as good as anyone at left back on the planet. That might sound a bit silly, but if you look at how he was at the beginning of last season before he got his injury, he was phenomenal. You know? But then, yeah, you know, there are one or two players where you think would a Wayne Rooney or a Ander Herrera or a Marouane Fellaini get into a top European side? Top three, probably not, but that's not necessarily what you need to, you know, be looking at. You need to be looking at.
We're not playing a top European side, but we're playing finals.
Exactly. Are we good enough to beat Feyenoord? And the team that was put out there to me looked good enough to beat them. I was looking at their starting 11, and I didn't recognise many of them at all, and not players that you sort of are on the radar for being extra special. And it was a sort of a looked at being an easy-ish European game, or a little bit tricky. United just didn't get going. United had enough of the ball to do things with it, but they didn't do anything with it. There was a little bit of skill from Martial. Rashford, again, didn't quite seem to get going. Mata didn't influence the game you like to see him. And Paul Pogba, on the back of the derby, you wanted to see a big performance from him. This was the game where, you know, it should have been quite easy for him in a way. But at one point you were saying how he'd been marked out of the game. And
I think he was.
That worries me when you're seeing Feyenoord marking Paul Pogba out of the game, because they can do it. When you need him to perform against the Chelsea, against an Arsenal, against the Manchester City, against the Liverpool, is he going to deliver? Again, it's early, but you want to see him doing it this season rather than next season.
Just one last thing. Just before we wrap up, what do you think about? Would you stick with a similar 11 at weekend? You know, would you?
No, to this 11 that we've seen tonight, not at all. I think we have to go back to similar to what we saw at the beginning of the season, not the City game. I don't think necessarily I'd put Mkhitaryan and Lingard back in. I'd be looking at maybe the team that he put out against Hull. Again, everyone's going to be up in arms because that involves, you know, Wayne Rooney. But I can't see after a game like tonight he's going to keep Rooney out of the side. Tonight was the game where you thought, if you're not going to play Rooney, these guys need to show him why he's not playing Rooney, and I don't think they did, to be fair. And like we said, the one system you don't play Rooney in is a 4-3-3. Hasn't worked, has it?
No, it's been a tough result to take, to be honest, guys. 1-0 away to Feyenoord. It's been a bit of a disappointing game, but we go again at weekend in the Premier League. Make sure you subscribe to Full Time Devils on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter as well, and stick it out for the fan cams. You never know. Could be some good fan cams out there. Listen to what people are saying. Make sure you get your comments in below as well. Let's just hope it's good at weekend, eh?